All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are following Afrique. I'm glad that you are tuned in and you're watching Afrique 24-hour TV. These are an open political talk show that comes on your screen every day from 10 p.m. up to midnight. Of course, I'm your host, Leo Nyabaya. So if you are joining me for the first time, kindly start by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and search for Afrique 24-hour, then subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Of course, we are live today. We are live in Mutembei TV. We are live in Afrique 24-hour, both Facebook and YouTube. And very soon, we'll be live in uh, other platforms like X and even TikTok. So welcome on board, and ensure as you're joining me, you invite others so that we can be able to watch together. I can see some people already came here before me. That is good here. Welcome. Happy to see you. And if you're joining, kindly use the comment section and let me know where you are joining me from. And I can also know your comments and your feelings about the show. So today, is Monday. That is today, sorry, not Monday, but we're on a Tuesday. We're on a Tuesday, 12th of March, 2024. And of course, some interesting things happened. There's some interesting things that happened during the day. One of the things that is making headlines is the resignation of the Haiti Prime Minister. Remember, when you talk of Haiti Prime Minister, we also have to connect it with our Kenya police who are yet to be deployed. You remember the Haiti Prime Minister came to Kenya and they had some bilateral agreement with Kenyan President, that is His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, that Kenya is going to deploy police officers to go and restore peace and bring some normalcy. But immediately he landed in Kenya and made that agreement. The gangs over there, barbecue there, they told him that he should never land back to Haiti. He should stay in Kenya. So he had to resign while in exile. So I don't know what is your feeling. I don't know what is your take there after the resignation of the Prime Minister. I don't know what is your take as far as security of Haiti is concerned, and if Kenya will still have to deploy the police officer because the gangs have taken over everywhere, including the airport that our police officers are supposed to be landing when they go to Haiti. So I just want to welcome everyone. I can see people are joining me. So as you're joining me, kindly ensure you like and share the video. And if you've not subscribed to Afrique 24-hour, ensure you do so. So as we continue this discussion today, we are looking at two things. We want to look at this thing into different angles. William Ruto had an agreement with the Haiti president, and the agreement was that Kenya was going to deploy. Remember, this is something that has been opposed by majority of Kenyans, including the leaders, the politicians, and even experts. They warned that there is no way Kenya can be able to deploy in Haiti and succeed. But the president said, Liwe Liwalo, we are going to send our police officers to restore peace because we have the capacity. After doing that, something funny happened. The prime minister himself resigned, meaning even the prime minister himself cannot go back to Haiti. So what about the Kenyan police officers? So which lessons do we draw there? Apart from that, another thing happened that the affordable housing bill was brought to the Senate. I think it is in the committee stage, third reading. And we saw fights over there by the senators, that is both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, as those from Azimio really vehemently opposed this bill. Remember, in that bill also, William Ruto said that the affordable housing is a reality and it has to be implemented. So does this not mean that Ruto is now a worried man? Everything he touches gets opposition. Everything he touches, people resist. That is why we are saying that it's a blow to William Ruto as the Haiti Prime Minister resigns. Remember, this kind of agreement that they made is what he relied on. And he was so confident that they have to deploy despite even the courts proclaiming itself and saying that, you see, there are some illegalities. Kenya cannot deploy in Haiti without some proper arrangements and agreements and such kind of things. but the prime minister have already resigned. So who is the custodian of that agreement? Pres J is telling me that lesson learned. Next time Ruto leaves Kenya, we also should do the same Haiti style. Oh my goodness. So you think that Ruto, next time he leaves Kenya, we should also go Haiti style? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me play for you this so that I inform you of what happened before we proceed with our discussion. Before we proceed with our discussion, let me tell you.
Haiti, Ariel Henry has agreed to resign and make way for a transitional authority as his country wrestles with growing anarchy. He's been stuck in Puerto Rico, unable to return. U.S. officials say he's welcome to remain on U.S. soil if he wishes. Mr. Henry has held the unelected role since the assassination in 2021 of the country's last president. Armed groups have been calling for Mr. Henry to step down, leading to widespread violence. News of his resignation came during a high-level meeting of the Caribbean community in Jamaica.
We are pleased to announce the commitment to a transitional governance arrangement, which paves the way for a peaceful transition of power, continuity of governance, an action plan for near-term security, and the road to free and fair elections. It further seeks to assure that Haiti will be governed by the rule of law. This commitment reflects hard compromises among a diverse coalition of actors who put their country above all differences. To that end, we acknowledge the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry.
That was the president of Guyana there, speaking at the CARICOM talks in Jamaica. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced a multi-million-dollar aid package for Haiti.
What we've seen in recent days, again, should remind us that the already challenging and difficult security situation is now deteriorated even further and makes the multinational support mission even more important than ever. The United Nations Security Council has reaffirmed that and reaffirmed a collective commitment to deploy it as quickly as possible. Given this increasingly urgent need, I'm announcing today that the United States Department of Defense is doubling its approved support for the mission from $100 million to $200 million. And that brings the total U.S. support to $300 million for this effort. I'm also announcing additional humanitarian assistance for the people of Haiti, $33 million to further support their health and food security. Now, all of us know that only the Haitian people can, only the Haitian people should determine their own future.
Antony Blinken, though, a short while ago, I spoke to Dr. Christopher Sabatini, Senior Fellow for Latin America at the International Affairs think tank Chatham House.
It'll be difficult, Tanya. Right now, you're looking at gangs that control almost all of Port-au-Prince. They control most of the major routes outside Port-au-Prince, which will make delivering humanitarian assistance almost impossible. Already, about 60% of humanitarian assistance that had been delivered to Haitians in the interior of the country was controlled by the gangs. It was delivered by the gangs, seized and then delivered. And in this case, too, you've got a unified group of gangs that are threatening to topple the government. They've attacked the airport. They've prevented Henry from landing. They'd attacked police stations, the Interior Ministry, and even thrown Molotov cocktails at the presidential palace. So they have to establish some control even before they can begin to create this transitional council and deliver humanitarian assistance.
The origins of this problem obviously go back a long way, but we could trace it back in.
I think you've seen that. That is what we woke up today with. That was the breaking news that Henry finally decided to resign. And maybe somebody might be asking, how did this thing happen? Remember, people believe that Henry, or the prime minister who resigned today, was installed by the Americans. That is why you even heard the Americans telling him that, okay, if he so wished to stay in the American soil, then he can stay there. So he resigned in exile. He didn't go to resign in his country. I can see Pres J is telling us that lessons learned. Next time Ruto leaves Kenya, we should do the same. So this guy, when he left Haiti, he came to Kenya. He was having he had a bilateral a talk with the president, that is the Kenyan president, of which I'll show you later some of the agreements that they made, and Kenya agreed that they are going to send some police officers to go and restore peace and some normalcy in the country. Remember, this guy here took over. He was just installed after the president was brutally assassinated. It all started when the guys felt that the president had overstayed and need to resign, and they argued that the president overstayed his term. So what happened? Mr. Moiso, the president, did not step down. What happened? Then these guys, the gangs there, brutally murdered, yeah, the president by a certain group of Colombian mercenaries. So after that, you find that Mr. Henry had not been sworn in, and it took about some days, presided over by his predecessor, Claude Joseph, before he was sworn in. And the war still keeps on going in Haiti. And you remember these guys have really captured most of the government premises there. They've released thousands and thousands of prisoners. They've captured the airport. So I don't know where the Kenya police are going to use, because even the airports are under their control. If they can't threaten their prime minister, and they told the prime minister never not to leave Kenya, not to step back to Haiti, and true to their words, the prime minister decided to resign. So let us wait and see if Ruto will go ahead and actualize the agreement that they had and deploy Kenyan police force. Though the courts had already pronounced itself and said that the police force should not be deployed there, but the president said nothing is going to stop them. So let me just play you one video when the prime minister last visited this country, and there you can be able to see our cabinet secretary of internal security, interior, I mean, that is Professor Kindiki, and behind him is the president. And what was taking place there was signing of that agreement for deployment of our 1,000 police officers. So you can have a listen to that.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Wafula. Your Excellency, Ariel Henry, Prime Minister of Haiti. On October 2nd, 2023, the United Nations Security Council adopted resolution number 2699 authorizing a multinational security support mission to Haiti. Kenya, having been requested by member states, accepted to lead the coordination of this international mission. Pursuant to this resolution, preparations for the mission commenced, including the authorization procedures, preparation of mission documents, including the concepts of operation, conduct and discipline policy, status operation agreement, and directives on detention, searches, and use of force. There has also been extensive engagement with member states to translate the global solidarity into concrete support for the multi-security support mission. On October 13, 2023, the National Security Council of Kenya and the Cabinet of Kenya approved the deployment of 1,000 police officers to Haiti. Further, on November 16, 2023, the Parliament of Kenya unanimously approved this deployment, both at the National Assembly and at the Senate. Subsequently, a petition was filed in court, and the court determined the need for a reciprocal instrument between Kenya and Haiti to facilitate this deployment. Today, March 1st, 2024, I am pleased to inform that Prime Minister Ariel Henry, here with me, and I have witnessed the signing of this instrument, which we have also discussed the next steps to enable the fast tracking of this deployment and the importance, significance, and urgency of this mission.
Why pay more? Chagua nice and lovely cocoa and shea butter lotion, Kenya's #1 body lotion.
Cannot be overstated. It is a mission for humanity. It is a mission in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Haiti. We, as Kenya, together with our brothers and sisters from different countries who have graciously accepted to be part of this mission, to contribute police officers, to contribute equipment, contribute other facilities, including financial resources, are responding to the cry of children who want to go to school, of women who want to go to hospital and find medicine, to young people who want to further their careers, and to business people who want to continue with their business. We are making this.
That was in Kenya when the president and the prime minister, Henry Ariel, who resigned today, signed an agreement that Kenya is going to deploy 1,000 police officers. But this is something that was later, this is something that was overturned by the High Court. I think it was around 26th January. And the High Court of Kenya termed this kind of deployment illegal, yeah? So that one does not mean that it stops Kenyans from deploying maybe in future, but Kenyans can deploy as long as they follow the legal parameters. The case was brought by the opposition leader. I used to call himself the opposition leader actually, because he vied for the 2017 presidential election. That is Dr. Ekura Court. Is the one who, the leader of the Third Way Alliance, is the one who brought the case to court, and the court found it illegal because the court said that Kenyan law provides that for a mechanism in which a police officer can only be deployed abroad if there is a reciprocal arrangement with the host country. That is called the reciprocity. But however, in this case, there was no such arrangement currently in place between Kenya and Haiti, because in the first place, there's no government in Haiti. Even the one that they signed recently, after the resignation of this prime minister, your guess is as good as mine. During the court hearing, you'll find that the Law Society of Kenya also told the judge that the reciprocal arrangement and give effect to the law that provides for reciprocity, and an opposition legislature, all the opposition legislatures, most of them have been opposing this kind of deployment. So the question that we're asking is, will William Ruto be able to go ahead and deploy now that even the prime minister himself have resigned? So that and many other stories are the things that are going to form the basis of today's discussion. And of course, you're also looking at the affordable housing bill, which was tabled in Senate today, and it was hotly contested. I can say there are fights. Yeah, it almost turned physical, because there was a heated verbal fight between the senators. That is senators from the Azimio and senators from the Kenya Kwanza. So I just want to take you through what happened for those people who did not manage maybe to follow the proceedings in the Senate today. So I want to take you through what happened in the Senate so that you can be able to update yourself adequately.
Are you going to shut down the scheme? Are you going to come back to Parliament to amend it so that the next round of Kenyans can benefit? Mr. Chair, we must be very careful with the manner in which we legislate. And we must also ensure that whenever we make amendments at the committee stage of the House, we ask ourselves whether those amendments have been subjected to public participation. I know that at the third reading stage, a member has a right to rise and to make amendments subject to certain consultations with the chair of the respective committee. But does it take away the right of the public to be part of the decisions that we make, does it take away that constitutional responsibility to ensure that we inject the views and the voices of the public in whatever it is that we do? Mr. Chair, I think this is a fairly dangerous amendment because it is an amendment that is coming from a position of want, a position that we are in, which could be resolved or which could easily be solved in 5 years or in 10 years' time. Once the situation has been solved in 10 years' time, where every Kenyan has access to affordable housing, every Kenyan, even if they have not bought from this project, there are those who come from communities like mine. And Mr. Chair, still speaking to this amendment, I can tell you that there are certain cultural dimensions to home ownership that we do not take into account whenever we're legislating. We think that everyone comes from Singapore. We think that everyone comes from South Korea. We come from Kenya. Mr. Chair, in my community, when a boy gets to the age of 18 or 19, that boy is compelled to build his first house. That first house is called a Simba. Mr. Chair, in my community, 90% of men
Senator,
have access to houses.
If you could please summarize so that we can get a response to that
Mr. Chair,
argument.
As per the practice in this House, if there's limitation of debate, it is done before a member takes the floor. And in the committee of the whole, Mr. Chair, we have agreed that when you propose a question, any member has a right to comment on that proposal.
Senator,
and therefore, Mr. Chair, if you would allow me, just my normal 15 minutes, if there is need for limitation of debate, that motion can be passed or that motion can be made after I've finished my submission. Those are the rules of this House. Those are not the rules of government. Those are the rules of this House. And when we are discussing a matter so important to Kenyans, we cannot be casual about application of the law, and the chair cannot be directed to commit illegalities and unconstitutional behavior.
Senator
When I
Kajwang.
took the floor, I was entitled to 15 minutes to discuss
Senator
the
Kajwang.
proposal. If any member wants to limit debate, you can only do it after I've sat down. Those are the rules of the House, and they are in this blue
Senator
document.
Kajwang.
They are not in any political party document. Mr. Chair, if
Senator
you allow
Kajwang.
me, in 15 minutes, I will be done with my comments on the new clause
It's not-
42B. And I will yield the
Senator
floor
Kajwang, we
to
are in
other
the
members to
committee
make
of
their
the whole.
comments.
Senator Kajwang, we're in the committee of the whole.
Mr. Chairman,
When you're
committee of
making
the whole,
an-
when you propose the question, all of us have a right to comment on that question. And that is why we were requesting that you go a little bit slow between proposing the question and putting the question. Mr. Chair, those are the rules of this House. Those are the rules of
What is your
debate.
point of order,
And
Senator
if
Kajwang?
Senator Cheriot feels outwitted, then it is what it is. These are the rules of the House.
The mic.
Heated,
Give me the mic.
and
Mr.
what they're discussing is the
Chairperson.
affordable housing bill.
Mr. Chairperson,
I don't know why
there's only
this-
one chairperson.
Just listen to
I
that.
hope so. I hope there is only one chairperson. Protect me from hecklers in the House, Mr. Speaker. I want to address you. Mr. Speaker, I want to address you in total silence.
Let's just one more. I should. I
Chairperson,
will ask him. I've given him the point of order. Let him proceed. We'll listen to him in silence. I'm sure before he sits down, he will make that very clear. What is your point of order?
thank you,
Senator?
Chairperson, for protecting me. Number one, Mr. Speaker, I take great exception in the conduct of Senator Kajwang. If it was another senator, I would have assumed that probably he doesn't know the traditions of this House and what we do in third reading. Senator Kajwang is not only being cheeky, because I watched him when he walked into the House, and I could hear him clearly tell his colleagues that why are you guys not filibustering? I knew. Mr. Speaker, can you protect me? Mr. Speaker,
let
I am
him
not in a mood
finish.
to engage
Yes.
in a heckling debate.
We will find out.
Mr. Speaker, can you protect me?
You're protected, Senator Cheriot. You
So the point
proceed.
is this, Senator Kajwang knows that in third reading, you try to persuade people why you're not in supportive of the proposed amendment. In a quick, witty comment, hardly beyond a minute, Mr. Speaker, and you give opportunity to the chairperson or the person that is moving that amendment to convince you why that amendment is important. This is not a debate stage, Mr. Speaker.
Senators, let us, just one moment before, can we conclude on Senator Kajwang's issue? What's your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Chair, thank you for, Chair, I would like the attention of the Chair, please. Chair, I wanted to draw your attention to Standing Order 185. Mr. Chair, allow me to read. General application of rules in Committee of the Whole, except as otherwise provided in these standing orders. The same rules of order and of debate for the conduct of business shall be observed in the Committee of the Whole in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, therefore, nobody should rise up to tell you that there are traditions. Traditions are only applied where there is no express provision of the standing orders. So Honorable Kajwang is within his right, Mr. Speaker. Even in Committee of the House, I am surprised somebody who's told us many times that he's doing the third term in this House has no idea which standing orders he's referring to. And Mr. Speaker, when somebody stands up on a point of order, Mr. Speaker, you must insist on which standing order he is rising. I have read the law of this House. We will not be threatened by old people here that you have been here 10 times, but you can't read very simple English. Mr. Speaker, therefore, allow us to debate in a normal fashion because that is what the law says. Mr. Chairman, do not be intimidated by anybody telling you they were elected before your grandfather was born. We are all here now. And Mr. Chairman, we are subject to the same rules. We must speak in accordance with the Constitution and in accordance with the standing orders, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, nobody should come here to tell us about traditions of
okay, order, senators.
Which community.
Order,
the traditions
senators.
of the House are dictated by the standing orders. So I dare anybody else to stand up and read.
Order, senators.
That's how heated it was. Let's just see.
Order, senators, order. Let us have some order. Order, senators. No, order, senators. Order, sit down. Okay, sit down, Sifuna. Sit down, Senator Abbas. No more, Senator. No more point of orders. No, senators. I cannot allow because it is going out of hand. Not on the same matter. Is it on the same matter? Okay, Senator Mogeni, go ahead. Order, Senator, one moment. Let's hear what he has to say.
You know, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I've said on this that I have tremendous respect for Senator Cheriot, and I've said he's a young senator who has a very great future. But when he starts shouting at us, it's not right. Because you need to allow us to hear what your point of order, and you also give us a chance. The Speaker, we are in this House because we derive our powers from the Constitution. And yes, so Mr. Speaker, Senator Sifuna has made reference to Standing Order 185. But Mr. Speaker, the article I want you to bear in mind is Article 124 of the Constitution. Article 124, Mr. Speaker, states that each House of Parliament may establish committees and shall make standing orders for the orderly conduct of its proceedings
including the proceedings of committees. So the standing order that Senator Sifuna has read has a bearing on what is happening, Mr. Speaker. The same standing orders that allow us to raise issues when we are legislating, it flows from a power that is donated to you by Article 124 of the Constitution. And you know, Mr. Speaker, maybe it's high time some of us moved to court to challenge some of these standing orders that limit our right to make contributions on behalf of the people of Nyamira, of Omabe, of Nairobi, who have elected us.
Thank you, Senator. Is your point
Can
made?
you protect me from Senator Cherege? So, Mr. Speaker,
Let's hear him in silence.
when you read Article 124, and don't make it in Section 2A, don't make us go back there. We are now operating under a new Constitution, 2010. Senator Cherege, my friend, there are Kenyans who died to put this Constitution in place. No, we have to lecture you because we have to remind you. We have to remind you history. We have to remind you. So, Mr. Speaker.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Speaker,
Okay,
Mr.
Senator,
Speaker,
order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, senators.
Mr. House, we are in this house
Can you
by
conclude?
virtue of powers that is bestowed on us by the Constitution.
Thank
the
you.
people of Kenya passed Kenya Constitution of 2010.
Thank you, Senator.
Under this article, Mr. Speaker, under the article I've read it to you, you have no right to limit us.
Thank
You
you,
have no right
Senator.
to.
Thank you, Senator. Let me make a ruling so that we can have a way forward. I have to make a ruling so that you can either proceed or not. I have to make a ruling, Senator Kajwang, on this matter. And the ruling also touches on the issues you raised. So, honorable senators, I believe what has been raised by the learned senators in this house, who are very aware of the standing orders and whatever understanding orders that they've raised and the clauses that they've raised on the matter touching on the Constitution, it is very clear that even the standing orders are applied alongside the traditions and practices of this house. When we are in a committee of the whole, intervention should be very brief, and there is no time limitation. It is just meant to be a very brief intervention. The same way when we're in the standing, can we hear in silence? Silent, Senator Cherege. When we're in the committee of the whole, it's the same way that we don't have a seconder for anything that is moved or any question that is put. This said, senators, we will proceed as we were proceeding, and if there is any clause that you want to make an intervention, we will give you an opportunity, but be very brief on the matter. Senator Kajwang, you may not stand. Senator Kajwang. Senator Kajwang, you have raised, can I finish my ruling? Can I finish my ruling? You had concluded and you had raised your matter, Senator Kajwang. You had raised a matter on clause 42B. At this point, I will give Senator Abbas an opportunity to address the issues you had raised. It's only one sentence. It's only one sentence. How can it have not been finished? Senator Kajwang, why don't you listen to the reply? Let's listen to the Senator Kajwang, you had spoken for a good 5 minutes. before we interrupted you. No, Senator Kajwang, I will not sit. Let Senator Abbas reply to your issue. Let him.
Okay, order, Mr. Let me give you the rationale. Let me give you the rationale. I will explain myself. Let me explain.
Senator Abbas, address the chair.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, Clause 42B limits the individual owning only one or more houses, unit under the Act. This measure prevents the concentration of units in few hands and ensures equitable distribution among the intended beneficiaries. You can have 100 wives. I'm explaining myself. I'm explaining myself. You can have 100 wives. You can have 10 wives. You can have 100 children. There is no need. You can always buy only one house. We are taking care of the interest of those guys. You should take care of the interest of those guys. Okay. I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, that these houses are meant for the poor people, the low-income houses, and there is no way you can buy 100 houses at the same time. Therefore, this clause justifies. Yes. Okay. Order. I'm not talking about the clause. I'm explaining myself. I'm saying
Order,
the limits.
order, Senator. Senators, please sit down.
42B limits. 42B limits individuals to own only one affordable house. Under the Act, this measures prevent the concentration. Order. Okay.
Relax.
Let me explain.
Sit down. Sit down. Senator.
The Constitution, Article 117, that talks about powers and privileges of Parliament, provides unfettered freedom of speech and expression. And those people who today want to limit my speech and expression, we shall wait for you. And your day will come when someone will have to stand up for your right of expression and freedom of speech. And Mr. Chair, I do believe, because the 2 minutes are not over, that even after I've prosecuted my reservations on clause 42B, that all other members with a contrary view must also be allowed to contribute, because this is the only time when senators can write laws. Finally, Mr. Chair, when I'm here.
Thank you, Senator. Senator.
I have been given the mic. This is
Senator,
disorderly
order,
conduct by the majority leader, and there's the reason I'm rising on my feet, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 121, I have seen the majority leader essentially throw a tantrum and smack the desks with his documents there. And yet he has the audacity to accuse me of being disorderly. You have thrown a tantrum. You are doing it again.
Order, Senators.
You are doing it again, Mr.
Senator
Speaker.
Gloria.
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Senator Gloria. Order.
Mr. Chair, there is only one opportunity for you to have order in this house, and that is enforcement of the rules equally. If it were anybody on the minority side who was throwing the tantrum that I've seen my brother, the majority leader, throwing, he would have been thrown out of the house. Why is he being treated specially, Mr. Speaker? Why is he being treated specially? And I want, Mr. Speaker, a ruling on each point of order that we raise, because we must have a record of how this house treats people and how you apply the law, Mr. Speaker. Because ordinarily, and you saw it, Mr. Speaker, please don't pretend you did not see it. And I know you're a good man. You have seen it, and you must bear true witness, Mr. Speaker. The tantrum that was, yes.
No, I didn't see it.
Mr. Speaker, I saw you seeing him. Mr. Speaker, don't be like that. We are in the holy month, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are in the holy month of Ramadan. Please tell the truth.
and gentlemen, that was not a drama festival or maybe a music festival, but those are honorable senators who are debating the affordable housing bill. I think it is in the third reading. That is the committee of the whole house. And you've seen how heated it was, And as things go by, majority of the senators, those people who spoke, unless the ones who are maybe obeying some instructions from their party leaders, but most of them was seeing some sense that this thing is not practical. Just like their counterparts who are in the National Assembly, but you and I know what is going to happen. Stella, karibu sana. Before maybe we start with Stella, you can you hear me? I believe you can hear me because I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? All right. Can you hear me? Good. Maybe you can work on I think your earphones are the ones that might be having some problem, but you can work on that. I was just trying to show people how it went in the Senate. It was so heated that people could not allow, and the speaker, as Goodyear is also saying that the speaker is weak, he needs to use his powers to throw out people. Hey, is anybody able to hear me? Stella is claiming she can't hear me. If you can hear me, kindly just confirm with me over there, yeah, on the comment section there. Just check with me. If you can hear me, then I'll know where the problem is. I'll know whether I'm the problem or the problem is somewhere else. Oh, let me see. So Stella, maybe as you work on I think your hearing device, that is just the Senate. I've just shown you some few senators who opposed the bill, and the civil society also called on the Senate to ensure that they don't pass that bill, to ensure that they oppose the bill. So let me play for you that one. I think maybe my sound, I'll work on it. Don't worry. As I work on my sound, let me play that.
The Affordable Housing Bill 2023, citing that it threatens to strip off the role of planning and development of houses from the devolved governments to the national government. Additionally, they have found no confidence in the bill in regards to transferring public land to private developers, informing fears of accountability and management of the public assets. Addressing the press in Mombasa, the activists have called on members of parliament from the coastal region who have previously voted in favor of the bill, citing that they have acted against the public interest and those related to the county government. They have also urged the national government to consider increasing the equitable revenue shared by the central government to the county governments to help manage development projects.
We wish to call on honorable members of the Senate to comply with constitutional duty of representing and protecting the interests of counties and county government pursuant to Article 96(1) of the Constitution. As such, we call on the Senate to do the following three issues. Number one, reject the Affordable Housing Bill 2023 because it hands over the role of housing to national government, contrary to Schedule 4, Item 8D, on the functions of the county under the Constitution of Kenya, which stipulates that planning and development of houses is a county responsibility. The only responsibility of national government is a policy issue. But this actually takes money to national government, so reject it for that role.
Kuna wabunge wameenda contrary na vile wananchi waliwatuma. Kumekuwa na kiribagoji gojikiriba, mpate mpatae, na wametajwa kwa majina, hawana interest kabisa na mwananchi ambaye alimchagua. Na tunaona pia kuna mkono wa executive, si bure. Au wabunge ni kama ambao wameingia baridi, wanaogopa executive, wanamogopa Ruto. Ruto ni rais tu. Executive atakana independent. lakini wana interfere na masuala ya parliament. Wanafanya impunity, kuichukua na nguvu na kutengeza mabili ambayo eleweki, na nataka kuturutisha wananchi kuchukua function hii. Kwa hivyo sisi pia tunaangalia kwa makini na hatutanyamaza, tutaongea na njia zote za kisheria na tutafuatilia jambo hili.
Right, let's.
All right, I think you've heard that. Tol, I'm loud and clear. Stella, I hope you've worked on maybe on your hearing device and now you can be able to hear me. Can you confirm that? Or I use sign language? No, why are you saying there's no sound, but I can confirm from other points there's sound? Okay, Stella, you can proceed. Let me see if I can use another device. Let me see. Okay, good. Okay, TRM, I've gotten you. You're telling me no sound. Okay, I've gotten you. Let me just work on it right away. Don't worry. I'll work on it right away. All right, I think it's now okay. It's now back. Oh, good. Inspire Women can hear me. Stella, you'll have to drop and come back again, I think, if you cannot be able to hear me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what we are seeing, there are two issues here. We are looking at the issue of the Haiti Prime Minister resigning just days after he signed some agreements with the Kenyan president on deployment of the police officers, even though the court declared itself and said that, you know, this thing is illegal. We can only deploy our police officer if there is an agreement, a reciprocatory agreement, which means they have to reciprocate what we do. But as it stands right now, you'll find that Haiti doesn't have a government that can reciprocate. Okay, TRM, is it thicker or ball? I get it. That joke almost made me thought that somebody have already gone with my voice. Oh, thank you so much. Stella, can you hear me now? All right. I think Stella is just having a problem from her end, but she'll sort it later. Don't worry. So the guys said that we cannot be able to deploy them. But when the Haiti gang saw their president, they told their president that, you see, now that you've gone to Kenya, you've made that agreement, don't dare come back to our country. True to their threat, you saw the prime minister resign today. So the prime minister resigned today, meaning he fears these guys. And somebody today that I'll show you, somebody decided to tell us that, not somebody, but Daniel Foote, the former US Special Envoy for Haiti, said that Kenya is unproven third world country who can't keep Nairobi safe. So he was really laughing at Kenyans. Kenyans they want to go and do what? They want to go and give
Back
some
in
security in
October, we've
Haiti.
seen
Listen to
Malaysians
that.
and Kenyan troops getting on the ground. I understand though some other countries have pledged troops too. Would the US ever put boots on the ground?
If the US or England
Guys, sorry for that. Sorry for that. That has happened. Oh, sorry. It was a small hit, but all is well. So I was telling you this: the special envoy laughing at Kenyans, telling us that we are small. I want to listen to this kind of description. I just want to listen to this kind of description, how we got described. Special.
Thanks for having. Or it will fail again.
Ambassador, you talk about peacekeepers. The UN Security Council mandated a force to be deployed back in October. We've seen delays and Kenyan troops getting on the ground. I understand there are some other countries have pledged troops too. Would the US ever put boots on the ground?
If the US or England or Germany or France or Britain or the EU do not lead such a mission, it'll fail. You can't ask the Kenyans to do it. They can't keep Nairobi safe, for crying out loud. Bangladesh, Chad, Barbados, wonderful. It's a great money-making opportunity for their countries. But to be successful, any intervention needs to be led by a country who is good at creating police and security capacity, not an unproven third world country.
Well, clearly it's an...
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome on board, ladies and gentlemen, the ones who are joining me now. Poleni kwa wale wamekuja kama kuna changamoto kidogo. I think we are back. We are live and we are loud and clear. You can confirm that on the comment section. Thank you so much, the ones who've joined Inspire Women. Namona Geoffrey Ruto. Geoffrey Ruto is saying that although the Senate had a 5-hour heated session, Kenya Kwanza won big in pushing to bring back the housing levy. Geoffrey Ruto, I think that's good, but we are also going to look at the point whereby what if the case is taken to court and the court rejects it again, because it has happened before. We've seen bills being passed only for court to overturn them. TRM is also there, karibu sana. I can also be able to see Gujia, kama kawaida, umejaja, and of course, with me, I'm having Stella and Angela. So Stella, good evening.
Hi Leo, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I hope you can now hear me well.
Yeah, I think there were challenges in both our sides.
All right,
And
welcome.
we have an internet issue.
I think when you joined, there's something funny that was happening in the Senate. That is our Senate, that really people would think that it was a drama festival or something like that. But those were senators debating the affordable housing bill. And you'll hear that most of them from the Azimio side were really opposed to the bill. And they gave the reasons why they were really opposed to the bill. But all in all, as Geoffrey Ruto told you, that after 5 hours heated session or heated debate that almost turned emotional with some war of words, Kenya Kwanza managed to bring it back. And now I think if it was brought back, then it should be awaiting the president to assent to it into law. So do you see it sailing through, or we are still going to be brought back to square one? Having had even the civil society members that have played for you, who are also requesting senators that they're the ones who can now save Kenyans and ensure that this thing is either done the right way or it is dropped away.
In my opinion, I don't know. To me, this thing is dead on arrival. Because let's be frank, Leo, if this thing has to come back again and to be redone again and going back to square one, they have to go back to the 190 again to do the public participation. So I don't see what sense that bill went back to now the National Assembly. Now it's taken back to Senate. And yet, even they can't have even permanent. So, I mean, they don't get solutions. It is throwing words at each other. The thing is, Leo, this thing is dead on arrival. And I believe if this thing is going to be ascended, or before it's ascended to be taken to the president, it will go again to court and it is going to be thrown again. And the time it's going to be thrown again, the bin will be covered by its own can. So now the annoying part is like, why did the National Assembly start with that bill? They could have even started with a public participation. They go for second, they go for a second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion. Then after that, it's taken to the National Assembly. Then they can able to discuss it and to see what clauses are making sense on which are not making sense. Now they are throwing it now again to the Senate. Now you have seen the Senate. The kitchen is getting hot. Everybody is a hothead. There is no solution. They are throwing words. Oh, they even, you can see even the 5 hours which were there, they were not talking about the housing bill. They were talking about their selfish interest, or the what, or the 13, or the 14. Who cares? Me as a Kenyan, I need to know if this housing, affordable housing, we want to say as Mwananchi, not the Senate to decide for us, not the national government to decide for us. It is us Mwananchi we decide. Do we need to go affordable or social? And we try to tell these people, if you're trying to put to affordable, put for the people who can afford, and these people who are on the payslips. But who are on the payslips can able to afford those houses? Very few. Because even you can see the person who's getting maybe 50,000 shillings, and you try to cap that amount of money, it will take him 100 days to get that house, or more than 100 years to get that house. And yet, even we checked on the credit score, because you see, if you are telling me the threshold you need 700,000 for one bedroom for 4 million, then you come and tell me that yes, I have been credit scored and I've been qualified. Then what happens? The house which I want in Starehe, am I guaranteed that I'm not going to get a house in Marsabit? Now, those are the things which you are trying to tell these people, and they are not listening. And the problem is the Kenya Kwanza. I don't know why they are dying to the nail for this thing, for the housing fund. Because I'm telling you, Leo, if these people decide that we go to social, and they leave the counties to build these houses, it is not the business of the national government to build houses. Leave it for the counties. Because the problem is here, Leo, another issue here we are talking is like those land which they're acquiring from the counties. You cannot go to the county and wanyang'anya your land. Most of those land they are playgrounds. Eh? They are like hospitals where they have reserved so that they can expand. Now tell me, Leo, does it make any sense for a national government to come and tell the county to release the land for them to build those houses, and yet the county cannot transfer this function to the national government? It does not work both ways. Ni kama mtoto,
It doesn't work, yeah.
It doesn't work. Ni kama mtoto akue baba ya baba yake. Unajua? The thing is, because now the problem is even senators, and even governors, they are not even being put in this story, because they know if they try to go and support this thing, I'm telling you, the fight which is going to be with the MCAs, it is not going to be a battle which is going to be like, it is a battle, then everybody does themselves. This one even can cause people even to lose lives, because as I said, the way that guy the way he was being interviewed, we cannot even manage our own, but we are sending our guys to Haiti. Yet our
That was also another interesting one. Maybe let me get some views from Angela, then I'll come back to you with that. The issue of Haiti, will we manage, or we also have to resign the same way the Prime Minister resigned? Do we have to resign and say that, okay, no, I'm coming back to that, Stella, just a minute. Angela, naona unatoka ukirukaruka, karibu kabla wakurukishe njia nyingine. Angie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Karibu.
So, asante. Umekuwa unasema story ya housing. Ilienda Senate wakapigana.
Wamepigana hapo, lakini mwishowe mwenye nguvu mpishe.
Haina shida, lakini hata hiyo kupigana mi sioni kama iko na faida, but although other side iko na nguvu, it shows how firm senators from ODM who are opposing the housing levy, how firm they are, because they are there to fight for wananchi. And leo the other time I asked you, nani anaweza nunua nyumba kwa shamba ya serikali? Unaanza aje kununua nyumba kwa shamba ya serikali? Kama si kudanganywa, tunadanganya. Ile serikali itakuja next, itakwambia hapa hizi nyumba zilijengwa kwa shamba la serikali, tunazibomoa. Why is Ruto forcing things? He's forcing things because he knows
something that has been happening. Nadhani mnajua, like sahi ukienda kuna zile shamba zilikuwa za railways, you find that people are being told this was a railway land, ebo muhame tuweze kujenga and such
you have
things.
to
Are you trying
up.
to say?
No, that kind of things, like nimeona in Trans Nzoia in Kitale, unapata wale watu walinunua shamba ya prison miaka, unasikia mtu anakuambia wameambiwa wahame because it is a government land, you know, you understand? So yani ni nini haswa kinafanya analazimisha? Ni kukula wananchi pesa, kutaka kupora wananchi? Alikuja kutusaidia ama kutupora na kutunyanyasa na kutuacha maskini hoe hai? Because huwezi enda ukanunua nyumba kwa shamba ya serikali, and at how cost? Yani unanunua kwa pesa gani? Hiyo pesa yenye unalipa shamba ya serikali ununue nyumba room moja kama hii yangu, hii bedsitter yangu hii, hiyo pesa inatosha mimi kwenda nyumbani kufanya nini? Kununua shamba na nijenge na ninunue ng'ombe ya maziwa na nifuke kuku za kienyeji.
Lakini hiyo yako ya kwenda kujenga Angela na kununua ng'ombe ya maziwa na kufuga kuku ya kienyeji yenyewe, hiyo bedsitter utanunua at 1.5 million finally. But ndio uende ujenge nyumbani, ununue shamba, ufuge kuku ya grade na ng'ombe ya mayai, it will need you to have your cash once, upatie mtu wa ng'ombe, upatie mtu wa nyumba na kujenga. But hii serikali na kuruhusu kulipa pole.
Leo, let me tell you, when you just save that pole amount, you will get it. You understand me? But this is the biggest scam. Ruto's project are just scams. You understand? Of conning Kenyans money. He has nothing good to give Kenyans. Instead, ni kutusorotesha, kutupararisha, kutufanya tuwe maskini, wale wa mwisho kabisa, tuhangaike kabisa. Juu kila kitu analazimisha. Kama alikuwa ameona project hamutaki, wacha nitafute mradi mwingine tena mfanye nini, nilete ile yenye mnataka. Lakini anasema zile mradi ameanzisha, tukatae tukubali, lazima zifanye nini?
Zitaendelea.
Lazima zitaendelea. So mbona anaweka lazima zitaendelea, meaning there is something behind.
Oh, I get you. Na
ule mtu
there is something behind it.
Ule mtu anamwaga changarawe ni bibi ya Gachagua. Ule mtu mwenye ana supply chuma ni bibi ya Ruto. Ule mtu mwenye ana supply kokoto ni somebody from evil. You understand? Na si ajabu upate ile kampuni na supply hizo vitu, it's Ruto's company chini ya maji. At the end of the day he's going to, nilikwambia hivi, hizi nyumba hakuna mwenye ata-own na hakuna mwenye atalipa apate hiyo nyumba. Instead, after zitakuwa zimemalizwa kujengwa, zitakuwa rental houses.
Nimekupata sana. Thank you so much Angela. Stella, kuna swali mtu anauliza pale, how many hustlers will be able to afford these affordable houses? Stella, can you be able to respond to that? Nini ni wale watu najua mumeenda pale your public participation, like you've been in connection with those hustlers au kina mama mboga, na pengine mumesikia na mnaweza wafanyia what is called valuation, mujue like their worth. If somebody tells them to contribute this amount per month for this time of period. And I know you also engage, kuna hii kitu inaitwa M-Corp or something like that. We've been seeing some people being arrested kwa sababu amekosa kulipa ile 50 bob, 20 bob per day ndio atumie taa. Those guys with motorbikes, I know you've represented most of them losing their motorbikes kama almost washalipa, then tire imebaki kidogo imepotea. So somebody is asking you, how many hustlers will be able to afford the affordable houses?
Okay, this is my thing.
Leo hakuna hustler mwenye ata manage ku afford affordable housing. I myself am a hustler. You know, unapata 500 shillings. Leo na hii uchumi ya saa hii 500 shillings. I have kids in school. I have to pay rent. I have to eat. So savings iko wapi?
Angie, let me try and help you.
Let me listen consider kidogo. Okay, yeah.
Leo, we are 50 million
Yes.
Kenyans, sindio? So
Yeah.
minus people who are youth, let's reduce 2.5. So the 2.5, the youth there, they are the ones who are in 18 to maybe 25. Wako wapi? Wako university. Now, as we come down, we'll see the people who are on the hustler side. Sasa ni mama mboga na nini. Tutaona threshold yao kitu kama 5 million. Remember, in between, kukona wale watu wako unemployed. The people who are employed, they are not even 3 million. Let's be honest. They are not more than let's say they are not more than 15 million. Now, here is the thing. A hustler cannot afford a house because for one, let's see. Now, Leo, this is the calculation and nilijaribu kucalculate. Mama mboga akona kiosk, mama mboga akona nyumba yake, mama mboga akona watoto, mama mboga atalipa SHIF ama NHIF, mama mboga akona chama. Now, let's assume her household, end of the month, akiuza mboga, alipe nini, rent, kila kitu ya biashara yake, atabaki na 10,000 shillings. Sawa? Leo, this woman has a lot of things to be done in that house. She has kids to feed. There is black tax. Black tax meaning that
The relatives are also atapeleka nyumbani, kuna mazishi, kuna sijui ng'ombe imefanya nini, sijui harusi, I get it.
Yes. Remember, even this hustler, end of the day, hata kama analala Kibera, siku ya Easter na December, ataenda wapi? Ataenda mashinani, apande Otago ama Eldoret Express. Akona ng'ombe imezidi. That ng'ombe inataka vet. Hiyo ng'ombe inataka kukula chakula. Then remember, she has her own house in Ushago. She has to make sure that that house iko na stima, there is constant water, amelipa watu wa nyumba 10, then abaki na savings zake apeleke kwa chama. So there are 3 types of chamas as women we go through. Uko na ile ya mwisho wa mwezi, kuna ile yenye mnakula watu watatu kwa mwezi, na kuko na hii ingine inaenda merry go round. This woman says around 30,000 shillings. Now, that 30,000 shillings, you cannot force me that you get 1.5% for that, so that I get that house. You're forcing me to buy, and I'm not interested. The issue is, why are you putting this thing in our throat? The only thing for hustler, mboga, boda, wanasema, nyinyi jengeni manyumba, we are going to rent. Once you do, you rent that mutengeneza hizo nyumba, tutarentisha, hata kama ni bed sitter, tupatia na 7,000, we are not refusing, we'll work hard 10 times. Now, nikikaa kwa hiyo nyumba ya 7,000, I'm able to live my life. What happens, you tell me you are putting me to be on the affordable housing. Number one, you've not guaranteed that I'm going to have that house. Leo, another thing what I say, ownership is never guaranteed, because the first thing I've told you, the danger of these houses is it is the national government which are going to fight with counties in future if this regime itatoka. Itakuwa kama ile story ya Kadipangi, ile ya More Wateto. Itakuwa story kama ya itakuwa story kama ya East African Portland. And that is what us, the people in the legal profession, we are asking. Give us a guarantee how you are going to get the land to be surrendered by the county for the national government. But the national government has no business kutengeneza hiyo nyumba. It is the function of the county. Why are counties?
County government. Yeah.
Yes, because ukiona hata manifesto ya counties, they are supposed to give nini undivided devolving ya
Because
nyumba.
I normally see, I don't know if I'm the one who is ignorant or what. Like if the national government wants to have a project or initiate a project, they will ask the country to give them land. You see the president visiting Homa Bay, and he says that okay, tunataka kujenga hapa TTI, sasa tunaomba governor wetu hapa atupatie shamba tufanye tujenge, meaning the land belongs to the county, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. But remember, hata huyu governor anataka kupeana hiyo land kwa national government, he has to go through his MCAs. And the MCAs, they have to go through the mwananchi. So you see, there are roles which these people, they are not understanding how this function is working. I don't know whether they are blended with the constitution ama wameiweka tu ikule vumbi kwa nyumba ama nini. I don't understand. Because the thing is, Leo, this is what we are trying to say. No problem. Affordable tengeneza. But tengeneza wale watu wako na threshold ya kwenye they can able to afford and buy. Stop forcing people to buy this house. Let me ask you, Leo, even you when you're in the whatever UK ama US and what, Leo, there's a place mtu amekwambia there's a certain development which is happening in Ruto, and they are building houses which are XYZ. Are you able to afford it? And these are the payment plans. Unaelewa? Then remember, when you have a payment plan, there's something called a secured mortgage. So you secure your mortgage by securing it, so that ile siku utalemewa, there is another next of kin who can able to pay on your behalf. But now the national government are forcing you, because na nilikuambia ile kitu enye national government, na this is what we ask the Hinga Committee, State Department of Housing, and we ask the Kimani. Let's assume umejenga nyumba Nakuru, Bondeni. That land ilikuwa ya Nakuru County. 10 years to come, you never know whether you're going to be in this. You don't know whether the regime will still continue with the manifesto. Then, as an advocate, akuja seme, by the way, this is affordable housing, you people you're occupying illegally, because the county has not released the land to the national government. So that means hizo nazo ni karatasi ya kuotea moto ama ya kufanya nini, ya kwenda kuhakisha jiko. Because the thing is,
and again, you've talked of something called title. Make me understand, how are you going to get the title? Because when they're building these units, let's assume one unit is having like 200 doors at the bed sitters, or if it is one bedroom, and this one unit have been built on a single land. So how are you going to be given a title? You're going to be given a unit. I think there's one title having 200 tenants. So who's going to have the title for that land?
Okay, I can give you an example. There's something called a conveyance. And conveyance is like title enye imeingia kwa, let's say, there are two types of titles. Kuna title deed, which you're the fully and wholly owner, I mean, you owe that land, so that that land, it is fully yours. So you're not acknowledged to pay land rates or what, because that's a freehold. Now, the county holding a kitu inaitwa leasehold. So anyone who has a leasehold within the county, let's say like schools, hospitals, whatever, inakuanga na ile period ya 99 years. Now, your 99 years later, you surrender that lease back to the county, but not to the national government. Now, if the county is not going to utilize that land, it goes back to the national government, like Ministry of Land. They say that we have this land and we are planning to do XYZ. So wanapatia kitu inaitwa an indemnity. So you transfer the function. Now, it's a bit complicated. Now, as you come back, tuseme kama hii ya affordable housing, you have 200 units, ndio? Kila nyumba inatakiwa Yes. Kila nyumba inatakiwa ipewe sectional title, sectional title, sectional title, sectional title.
I get you.
So you, Leo, your sectional title limits you not to enjoy the playground ya watoto. Does not limit you to parking, because your parking ya management imepewa.
Okay.
Ama the county imetu. So kwa hiyo parking, if they decide to build a nursery school, you cannot fight it. They
Oh,
will do
you
a
cannot
nursery.
like oppose it. I get it.
So the thing, what you're limited to is only your house and the wall, the four walls, which is nini imekufunika. Unaelewa? Remember, your sectional title, for one, hata ukipewa, yes, you're fully owned. You pay rates, you pay everything. But the problem is, how secure is your sectional title? Is it going to be registered? You know, something which we call, you register your sectional title, saying that it is Leo who owns this house number A2, and this house that nimenunua through the county. Now, inakuanga national the county starts fighting the national government. Mulichukua land yetu na sisi hatukuwapatia full transfer ya title. Now that's why the fight starts. I can give you a sad one in Nakuru. That hospital inaitwa Annex. Remember the one where the deputy registrar went there, the police walikuwa hapo because they were fighting because of the lease of the 55-year-old lease, which these people called Annex Hospital were meant to release that title to the county government. But the problem is, the title, Nakuru Annex, it was registered in Nairobi. So the person who's supposed to do the transfer or maybe to extend the lease is the chief land registrar wa Nairobi, not for Nakuru, because the title still remains Nakuru. Because remember, in ile colonial title. That's at the functions ya Nakuru County Health is devolved. They are given that land back. They were told the by law, hata kama land yako ime surrender the 99 years, you have the freedom to extend it. Next, at this of Nakuru Annex, they extend their lease, not in Nakuru but in Nairobi. Now, wakati wamepatia extension wakaambiwa, you can continue with your functions as a hospital, but remember, the land which remains there, it is not the property of Nakuru County, remains the property of Nairobi County. So that's why I'm telling you, national government cannot come and grab land from the county because it's going to bring this. Remember 2020, ni wakati kulikuwa na COVID.
2020 kulikuwa na COVID, that is from March 2020, that is when we experienced COVID.
Yes. Remember, there were people who were being evicted in Kariobangi at Morowateto. You know what they were told? Kariobangi was they were told that Kariobangi, your land it was for the Nairobi County. So those people were told, this is your squatter, because we need, they wanted to do a sewerage plant around there. Now the problem is, the Nairobi County, na Kiambu County, kila mtu anaingililia hiyo because demarcation ya hiyo land haijafanywa vizuri. So when you're coming for function of transfer national government to county, it's like a child giving birth to a parent. That is what I'm trying to say. So that's why I'm trying to explain. If you know that you're going to get that house for affordable housing, remember your title will be at risk because it won't go according to the law of land laws in Kenya. So the functions ya county, kazi yao ni kutengeneza hizo nyumba. Functions ya national government, wao ni kuimplement, watafute pesa, wapatie county, wajenge nyumba. And that's why hizi nyumba zinatakiwa kuwa social housing. Stop thinking about affordable. This thing is dead on arrival. And I don't understand.
That is why Inspire Women was saying that leave alone the hustlers. Even most of the civil servants, workers, who are forced to contribute towards affordable houses will not be able to afford to pay the deposit, let alone the monthly payments. So as we proceed now, Mona, yeah.
Leo, remember the
Yes.
last conversation tulikuwa na wewe. The target of the
Yeah.
national government, how many houses were they supposed to build?
Now this
14,000
target,
units.
14,000 units, yeah.
Yeah, 14,000 units. Hizo 14,000 units, then ukuja uniambia kwa boma yangu that the only available units are 4,000. What happens to the remaining one? You see, this is a scam. I'm telling you, it is a scam. End of the day. Then remember when these guys of boma yangu and state Department of Housing, they were told, fine, no problem. You have 14,000 units. Guarantee me and Leo that if we decide, like, now remember these houses nunua zikiwa off plan. So in case hizo nyumba zikose kumalizika, ujue pesa yako imesha kunywa maji. Unaelewa? So the government cannot collect money kujenga because ujue hiyo pesa kama itaisha. What happens? Let's say today there is a war. What happens to those houses? They won't continue. Another regime comes, they come, then they say, the regime which was there, it was very brutal. Let's go back again to the drawing board. What do? Release those houses so that the county who are there, they can able to do what? Continue with those houses. When you walinunua through Bomaangu, they are going to be thrown out. Now, this is the problem when we're trying to tell Kimani Kuria, stop insisting making affordable housing. You go to social housing. The way the houses which were done in Kibera, the houses which were done in Kaloleni, the houses which were done in, you see like how many the way they do their houses, like railways, walikuwa na nyumba zao. Kenya Airways walikuwa na buruburu. Ministry of Land walikuwa na Kariako. Ukiangalia Nairobi County wako na manyumba kila mahali. So that if you are able to house your staff, that's an advantage. You can
Wachilia hapo, shikilia hapo, tutarudi hapo kuzungumzia maybe the alternatives because already if it has left the Senate, we are now waiting to see if maybe somebody else will go to court and challenge it. So we will come and look at that. Remember, there is a lot that we're looking at. I'll also give an opportunity to Angela. I was telling her something here about Angela. There is a question mtu alikuwa anauliza kama mtu ataweza kuafford kulipa hiyo deposit na kulipa monthly. Already umetuambia hiyo pesa imekutosha kununua shamba na ng'ombe ya grade na mayai ya kuku kama ni kuku ya mayai at home. But in this case unapata kuwa serikali inakupatia nafasi ya kulipa polepole, manake serikali imejua huwezi pata 1.5 million ulipe once, so anakwambia utakuwa unalipa like you rent to own. Most people who are in slums unapata kama nyumba, some people like their places they pay 2,500 per month. So by the time umelipa hii 2,500 utalipa hadi siku utaichanga ifike 1.5 million watakupatia nyumba. So najua kuna maswali mtu atakuwa anajiuliza, wakinipatia nyumba pengine nilikuwa nalipa nikiwa Nairobi, nimepewa transfer, nimepelekwa pale Nakuru, itakuwaje? Nitatransfer nipewe bedsitter the same na hiyo huko Nakuru ama watafanyaje? So Angela, maybe I can give you some moment uweze kusema na wewe, alafu nimemwona pale Mzalendo, alafu pale nyuma ya curtain pia namuona Jeff Buru. So tuweze kukimbiza masaa ili kila mtu aweze kupata nafasi ya kuongea. Na kwenye comment section I can also see so many people. Kuna Kenya Revolutionary, tafadhali Kenya Revolutionary, hatuko mambo ya Arsenal sasa hivi, tunazungumzia mambo ya affordable housing na mambo ya Prime Minister wa Haiti ku resign. I think we predicted that this guy will not be able to go back. So tunauliza, now that the Prime Minister have resigned, na already tulikuwa na agreement kupeleka askari huko, askari wetu pia wataingiza baridi ama au wataweza kuland huko, kwa sababu Prime Minister mwenyewe naye landing imekuwa noma. So mambo ya Arsenali weka kando, tutaweza kuzungumza baadaye. Agudia, karibu sana. Ramesu Yegon mwenyewe anajitanga is it Antichrist or Antichrist? Okay. have seen Inspire Women. Thank you so much for your comments and your questions. I hope the questions have been responded to, and you are free to keep interacting with us through the comment section. Ruta Pondi anatuambia hatutaki nyumba, tunataka chakula na hospitali. Anajua hiyo imesikika. Kama mnataka hospitali na nyumba, ndio kwa maana huwa tuko na kile kinaitwa public participation almost 1 hour. Almost 1 hour, sijui umepotea wapi. Hebu jaribu nitafute wewe pia ukuje niambie wewe kama jeshi ya baba unataka nyumba ama wewe ulishajenga, ama unangoja ukikufa tutakuwa tunakujengea na tunakujengea ile nyumba ya mwisho na tunakujengea nyumba ingine ya dunia pia. Anji, karibu sana, dakika kama 3 alafu niweze kumpokeza mzalendo pia na aweze kuniana nasi.
Asante, nimerudi. Umefika wapi? Nilikuwa nimepotea kidogo.
Nimefika tu hapo mahali tulikuwa tumekuacha ukituambia hiyo pesa ni mingi. Wewe hiyo pesa ukipewa unaenda, hiyo pesa wewe unaweza kufanya kazi tu uende ujenge nyumba nyumbani badala ya kuchukua nyumba Nairobi.
Liwa affordable housing for Mama Mboga, from my own opinion, President could have told us that affordable housing for Mama Mboga is 500,000 Kenya shillings, not 1 point, 2 point. How can it be affordable with the 1 point and 2 point? That's not affordable. How will Mama Mboga afford that? And yet weekly analipa kibanda, monthly analipa shift, analipa KRA, mafuta ilipanda, unga ilipanda, sukari ilipanda, kila kitu kilipanda. How do you expect that Mama Mboga to be paying all those things at the same time? How many hustlers are now they don't have jobs, and they are the ones that promote Mama Mboga, and Mama Mboga now customers have dropped and 1 point and get affordable housing. How, like, serious?
Sasa wewe kwa maoni yako unaona hii haiwezekani? Oh, sorry, I think we've lost Angela. She'll just get back. Mzalendo, good evening. Just welcome you to the show. I think if you are following from the background, there was a heated debate, some war of words in the Senate today between the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza senators when they were debating the affordable housing bill. It was in the committee of the full house. And it almost turned chaotic because most of them could not agree. Some wanted more time so that their words or maybe their input can be taken into consideration. But all in all, what takes the day nowadays, you know, however much you debate in the Kenyan parliament, what will have to decide when they are putting a question. So when they are putting a question, so it is not about how you convince the House, but it is the number of people that votes either for it or against it. So in that case, we know the majority will always win unless it is something like their salaries. That is what will always see people voting differently. But in this other side, if it is a bill that has been decided on the side of majority and minority, or maybe on the side of the political affiliations, the majority, which is the Kenya Kwanza, will always win. So what is your take on that? Do you think that this bill is now going to be implemented, or still the courts are going to take us back to square one and tell us that you did not do much, you need to go and do much is when you bring back the bill for consideration?
Anyway, thank you, Leo, and I want to say hi to Stella. Stella, we've not seen each other for a while. I hope you are doing well. Angela Barigani, nice to see you. I always see you in the comment section. I didn't know that you're a very good debater when it comes to issues that affect the common man. Now, let me just jump in and say the government will always have its way. Whether they go to court, there's always an alternative of bringing it back to parliament and changing the laws that the courts recommended. Why are we
even discussing about these issues of housing. Remember, in Uhuru's government, the affordable housing had already been implemented, and so many units were going on. Now, the issues that William Ruto is bringing in is what is bringing a lot of contention. Not that people don't need houses. In Uhuru's government, they needed houses. Did they say they didn't need those houses? They needed them. But opposition have to stand for something. They really have to stand for something. Those senators we are seeing jumping up and down, we give them mortgages for their houses. Mortgages for their houses. Wakiingia tu hivi wanalipwa na taxpayers, but we taxpayers are sometimes ignorant of the situation. Why do we jump when a government is trying to give us an alternative of getting houses? Remember, Leo, even the culture of saying that mama mboga hawezi afford hii hiyo story ni sijui naweza sema aje, because Kenyans would borrow money. We have got banking institutions where you can borrow money and finance anything that you want. If you live abroad or you live in you live abroad, maybe Europe or in the US, mortgage is something that it's like a necessity. You would want to own your own house, and you have to borrow. There is nothing like you will pay, even if you're doing a job that cannot really meet the housing market. You'll have to borrow. You'll have to put a down payment for that particular house. You'll have to. And housing, is it a necessity? All these people complaining, including Stella, I need to have a Stella for a night in Kibra, Katakwera, so that she uses the flying toilets and stays there for a week without a decent bathroom. And then you realize that affordable housing is something that people really need. Yeah, when you change it to social housing, then you change the meaning altogether again. Social housing, the government can simply go to Stella, who has got so many units, and purchase those units and accommodate the people. We will get there when at the right
question
time.
they're asking, maybe you can help respond to that. Earlier, somebody was asking that how sure are we that the ones who don't have houses, like the ones who don't have houses, of which you and I know are the ones who maybe they're not employed. They won't have any employer who will pay the other percentage for them. They won't money to contribute for it. So the least in the community are the ones who don't have houses, and they are not part of the scheme. So how are they affordable houses going to help them? Because they are not in the scheme, because number one, they are not employed, they don't have source of income, so they cannot be able to contribute the amount that is needed. So how are they going to be benefiting from this affordable housing?
I think the guy who asked the question, from what I read initially, is that this housing scheme, you just go to what do you call it? That login portal for government, and you apply for one. So long as you can pay your monthly contributions, you'll be locked in. Yeah. So long as you are able to pay your contributions towards that particular scheme. I think you just walk into those government, what do you call it, Leo? I've forgotten.
Huduma Center. Then on that, the question that comes after that, if you, like, for example, I don't have any form of employment, but I feel I can maybe be able to pay that deposit that is needed. I go and log in. It means you must be able to pay 15%, a certain percentage of the amount of the 1.5 million if you need a single room. Then at the end of the year, at the end of the month, you'll have to be paying some amount until you own this house. You've lived in Kenya, you've lived in Nairobi, specifically when the majority of the people who live in Nairobi, they have their homes back in the rural. So they're in Nairobi because of maybe work issues. They're looking for money. And at some point, they'll have to go back to different places. Or you are employed, you work in Nakuru, then after some 6 months, they transfer you to Mombasa. Already you've taken a mortgage and you've stayed in this house for like 5 months. So what happens to you when you go to Mombasa? Are you going to be paying, will they be able to pay 2 houses, the rent in Mombasa or the rent in Nairobi? Or is there a way they'll have to transfer these units from Mombasa to Nairobi?
I think your argument, Leo, I think that argument is very interesting, because this is already a property that you own. You own it. You can rent it. You can rent it and make more money out of that house as you rent the other one in Mombasa. Probably the house in Nairobi will be able to pay for you the rent in Mombasa. And again, most of these people getting these houses, they're getting it in form of property. Look at it in form of property. Don't look at it like somewhere somebody wants to live. Look at it like somebody moving out from the slums, getting a house, renting it, and moving to a cheaper area, maybe a suburb that is cheaper than ukipata nyumba maybe in Parklands or Park Road. That house goes for 40,000, and you're being told to pay 4,000 or 2,000 a month. Surely this debate is just, there is nothing in it. You are told to pay 4,000 for a house. You are busy saying that I don't need that house, and every month you are told to pay only 4,000, and this is bringing for you an income of 50,000. Where on earth will you get that deal? Where on earth?
I need to get Leo.
Somebody is interjecting because there's something that happened. As Stella, you're interjecting. Something happened. There's some houses that were done in Kibra. I think you can remember them, Kibra and Langata. I don't know if already it was Kibra or they'd already divided the constituencies. What happened? There are few people. Actually, the people who are given those houses still went back to stay in the slums, and they rented the houses to people who are staying around Langata. The question is, does this one solve the problem of slums?
That is a good scenario, because when you go and live to that particular place, hiyo mahali pia umeenda kuishi itajengwa, and soon you'll run out of where to live.
Apana. Leo.
Yes, you can.
Leo, I have to dispute with Muzalendo.
Okay, I allow
not
you.
understanding what we are saying. Me, you, and Angela, we understand what we are saying. Why is Muzalendo against social housing? Why are you forcing? Let me ask you. I don't understand where Muzalendo comes into this issue, because yeye anatakiwa kuelewa that hizi nyumba enye unaniambia ati mama mboga anaweza nunua sijui aende achukue mortgage. Kama hawezi fikisha threshold ya 500,000 a year, which bank is going to give you that mortgage ya kuchukua hiyo nyumba ya 4 million ya 5 million? Hakuna. Because I know even before you get a mortgage, you need to be profiled. The same thing which is being done with the boma yangu. If you want to get a house, ama bedsitter ya 2.2 million, you must have a threshold of 700,000. That money you're told to weka down payment. Mzalendo, nitenda, I rob people to get that money. I'm living a decent life. I want to live at my dignity with my children that I tried so hard kupata hiyo nyumba but nilishindwa. Now, I want to ask you, Mzalendo, why are you against social housing? We said social housing, let the counties itengeneze nyumba. Ikisha tengeneza nyumba, they start renting for people. Whoever feels that he can rent for 7,000, akuje, atoke kwa slum, kwenye alikuwa nalipa 4,000, aingie. Wakati atazeeka akuwe na his golden years, arudi nyumbani ache mtu mwingine. But don't tell me that you're forcing me to buy that house. Now, those 14,000 units zishaisha kutengenezwa. Remember, there's a population burst every year. Watu wana nini? There is population burst, urban rural migration. Hizo nyumba zenye ziko hapo Nairobi zikote kutoshea. Still, you have not solved the housing issue. You have not. The only way to go the housing issue and solving it, go through social housing. Period, point blank. That is me and Leo and Angie, we are trying to understand here. I have no problem if I'm being told, leave your house and unakaa ya 6,000 shillings,
uende ya 40,000 shilling uko ukilipa rent. That one we have no problem, but stop forcing me to buy a house. Stop forcing me. That is the problem, because you force me to buy those houses in a haste. What happens 10 years to 15 years? Utakuja tuambie hizo nyumba zenye mnakaa hapo zilifanyiwa nini? There was some, the transfer was not done correctly. So you're being told you're thrown out. Now you have to understand.
Thank you, Stella. I know your time is coming. You will explain that. It was just an interjection, and we will get into Mzalendo's time. So
Yes.
I don't know if Jeff Mburu is available. Mzalendo still have a minute. I'll give you.
Stella interjected, and she brought in an issue.
I'll give you a minute, and if
Let me
Mburu is available,
just a minute before
I'll allow him.
Mburu
If
comes
Mburu is
in.
not available, I'll go to Kenya Rebellion. Okay, take your 1 minute, Mzalendo.
Who said I'm not available?
We can see you.
Can I, Mburu, can I use my 1 minute? That's
okay.
Yeah, you can take my 2 minutes, then I'll have to.
Okay, I can take your 2 minutes. Stella, let me try and explain to you, or maybe you can explain to me what you understand by social housing. Is Stella still around? She's dropped.
She's hearing you. She's at the background. She'll just get back in.
Stella, you are confusing people. You know, Kenyans get these big words like social housing. Social housing is basically houses owned either by the city council, county government, or the government itself. That is what social housing is. And social housing, there is an amount that is pegged on you. Just like those Ruto houses, they're houses that are for bed sitters. Bed sitters, millionaire will not be able to go and bid for the bed sitters. Where we have social housing, they look at your kind of income, ile pesa unapata in modern countries like the US. They look at the kind of money that you earn. Hiyo pesa unapata kama ni mingi, then they will not give you a house. They will give it to somebody who wants, the mama mbogas who wants less than that. So that is what social housing is. And social housing doesn't. Wait a minute. Wait, let me just finish. Social housing, just find out.
Listen to me. The
No,
people
I will not listen to you if you don't want to listen to me also.
Listen,
the people who
can the two of you just keep quiet? One person at a time.
Social housing. What do you understand by social housing?
Stop confusing people.
Guys, let's have one person speaking at a time. So maybe if you want to interject, then we give you time. Then, so Mzalendo, you had 1 minute. Are you done?
You see, I had 1 minute until Stella jumped in.
And then you added another 2. I think one is
no, I am just about to wind up, and I think Stella can jump.
Leo,
no, now you see Leo. Can you
let him finish, Stella?
Can you protect me from Stella, please?
Okay.
Protect
me. Speak uninterrupted.
Protect me from Stella.
I'm saying this.
Leo, please protect me from
Everybody keep quiet.
I am very surprised.
Listen, Stella.
No. Protect me first.
Listen, you also have to listen. I can't listen to you when you're also talking at the same time. So can you finish? Then Stella will have to maybe challenge what you've said. I think that will be okay.
Stella, okay. Social housing are houses that are owned by counties. They are owned by states. They are owned by federal government. Those are what we call social housing. Don't be cheated like you see those houses in Jericho and all that. Those are part of social housing. All right.
It is the government who built those houses. So why can they not build the same?
They are owned by the government. They are still called social housing.
Owned by the government. Even affordable housing is owned by the government. That's why I'm saying.
Leo, you didn't protect me. I would have finished. You'd have brought in your.
So let him finish, Stella. Then you'll get time, and you will let him finish so that. Okay, Mzalendo, you can wind up.
So these houses, including what Stella is saying, if you go to Mbotela, if you go to Jericho, if you go to Hamza, you'll find Kaloleni, you'll find some of the houses that Stella is talking about. Their rates and their payments are not the same, depending on the size and the location of where these houses are. Those are what she's talking about. But now, ambitious government end up even building more houses for the locals. Look at those houses in Jericho. Which year were they built? Which year were they built? And if that year there was a necessity to
The
build
same
more,
houses zenye zinaenda
listen,
kubomolewa. The
if
same houses
that
zenye
year,
zinabomolewa.
if
The
that year,
same houses zenye
So
zinabomolewa.
Stella, wait. Yeah, wait, we are coming there. Just
oh
wait.
my God, Stella, if that year,
I will
if
not allow you to breathe. You cannot lie to
you
us.
will still have time,
Don't
you will
lie
still
to
have
us.
time, even if you
Guys,
can't allow me.
Why are you having a problem with social? No, the same social housing you're
guys,
going
okay.
The same thing. The national government can do it. It builds
Guys,
those social
we'll
housing
take a
for
break.
people to rent.
I think you've now breathed. So Mzalendo, just wind up your 1 minute. Then we go to another person. We cool down. Then please,
Thank you for that break. Maybe Stella's thought is out of here. Now, those houses, Leo and the panelists, you need to understand. Social housing, what Stella is saying, is just the same thing. Social housing are houses built by the government, are houses built by the National Housing Corporation, like NHIC. They can build houses for people to afford, but their rates are different. There are those who will be able to earn, or those who are high income earners will be given their houses, 4-bedroom houses. Ruto's houses, they have bed sitters there. Those who can afford that, the rates are very, very low. And I believe the highest amount of mortgage that you're going to pay for a particular unit, I think it's 4,000. That's the 4,000 shillings, 4,500 or something like that. That is the highest that I've seen so far, unless it has increased. So if somebody is telling you you own a house and only pay
Mzalendo, the time is up. I know you still have you will still have time to continue with that.
Okay.
I'll bring in Mburu and allow me also to read maybe some comments here. You'll find Goodia is reminding us that social housing is for underprivileged, helped by the government through their county councils or the counties. So the underprivileged, these people who cannot be able to maybe afford some houses. And in this context, maybe you can say they're the houses or something like that. So it's true, these guys will have to be paying 4,000. So as we come back, as I bring Jeff Buru, you know, there are those people who are in slums and their rent is like 2,000 or 2,500 per month. Yes, it is true. They are paying this rent, but at the end of the day, they're not going to own this house. And some of them are not able to pay this 2,000 per month until they get kicked out. So do you think these people will be able to raise 4,000 per month? That is after raising the deposit, which is in hundreds of thousands, for them to be able to own this house. Karibu, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to begin by saying that everything starts somewhere. And the way we are going on this issue of affordable housing, I can say we are in the right direction. Because there was a time when we were not discussing about houses or how our people live. And as I said here, Kenya, and somebody's mic is making some noise. As I said here, Kenya has the largest slums in the world, starting with Kibera, the largest slums in the world. So the fact that the government has come up and has said that we have to confront this issue head on, it is a good thing. We say that the Roman Empire was not constructed within a day. So the debate that we have started to see how we can resolve the issue of housing in Kenya, I can tell you for sure it is a good thing for Kenya. I don't know which mic you need to mute, Leo. There is a mic there which is giving me a very hard time. So I was saying that, we can mute the mics. I was saying that, and I would like to ask Astera a question. Which one would you prefer? Is it for you to own a house, or is it for you to be renting a government house forever? Which one is better? Is it for us to have a modality whereby Kenyans can be in a position to pay for the house until they own the house, or for the government to own that house and Kenyans be renting that house forever? For me, I think the best option is where we have a method where Kenyans are being told, you can put down this down payment, organize yourself. And today, Kenya, we have so many financial institutions that can support you. If you have good financial discipline, organize yourself, put down the down payment, and then after that, you'll be paying around 4,000 to 5,000 every month, of which the people we are calling the Mama Bogas, the Boda people, today I can tell you for sure, they pay between 7,000 and 10,000 every month for the house. And the government is telling them, you have an opportunity. Look for a way of mobilizing your finances. And God willing, maybe this government of William Ruto will continue for a period of 10 years. That within this time that we'll be building the houses, start saving culture, start developing good rapport with your bank so that you can get some down payment, then you can own these houses. For me, I think anybody disputing that idea, I don't know what direction I would like Kenyans to
Just a quick question, Jeff.
Yes.
Do you think, in your own maybe belief, do you think that people are in slums because there are no houses, there are insufficient houses, or they are in slums because they cannot be able to afford to pay rent in these houses? Is it because they are slums because we have less houses in the country, or because they are buying power, they don't have money to own better houses?
To answer that question, Leo, I would like to bring to your attention, and to many Kenyans who don't know how those slum dwellers live, is that those houses they live in, they are not their own houses. Those houses are being rented by people who have built those small houses in slums. And even those slum dwellers, they still pay some money. And the government is telling them, and maybe somebody who has ever lived in Kibra will tell you they pay between 3,000 to 4,000 in those slum houses. The government is telling them, if you have good financial discipline, you can own your own house. And it doesn't matter. Even if you own that house and you rent it, it means your standard of life has
it seems you're not answering me, but let me put it like this. You said, well, these people pay like 3,000. Stella, just a minute. I'm the one talking. Just a minute. You said, like, those people who live in Kibera, they pay about 3,000. I've stayed in a certain estate somewhere called Kangundo Road, those sides of somewhere called Choka, or they have some nice stone houses which people pay 2,500. So do you think somebody who chose not to pay 2,500 in a decent house, in a decent estate, and decided to pay 3,000 shillings in a slum will be able to leave that 3,000 house in a slum and go to a government-owned house? Do you think it is possible?
Why not? You see, we will be unfair to people.
Because the same happened when they built houses to try and let people from Kibra move to the other side. And I can tell you 90% of those houses were not occupied by the people who were given the houses. They rented the houses and still
let me tell you,
went back to stay in the slum. So I just want you to maybe tell us, is it possible?
Those arguments,
yes.
Those arguments may not help us a lot, because I want you to.
Boro, you are not listening.
Let me finish what I'm saying, Stella, because you have your time. We are not in a war here. You listen to my ideas. I listen to you.
We are not in a war. But
let us be civil. Let us be civil. Please don't think that.
Okay, Stella, let him finish. I'll give you opportunity after Kenya Revolutionary. You're next.
No, Stella, you're gonna have your time.
Not being answered.
Okay, can you talk?
You finish, then I follow back.
Okay, Geoffrey, finish, then I'll go to Kenya Revolutionary, then I'll go back to Stella. Stella, just note them down. I know you'll be
Just
able
a
to
minute,
respond accordingly.
Leo.
Yes.
Let me finish
Yes.
what I was saying. If I have gotten a house and I have decided to rent that house, that means I'll be getting some money out of that house I'm renting. And by that money which I'm getting from that house, it means my life standard has changed because I'll be having extra money. And this is what I wanted to tell you, Leo. We will be unfair to Kenyans or to slum dwellers if we say that for them they are comfortable living in slums. Not or everybody would like to live in a decent house. And that is what everybody I would like here to understand. That every Kenyan would like to live in a decent house. And that is what the government is trying to address. So Leo, I was saying, if I get a house...
You had 2 minutes, eh?
Okay.
You'll do that one in the next minute, please. I
If I
get
get
you very well. I get
Yes,
you
let
very
me
well.
finish.
Everybody. Okay, 1 minute.
1 minute. If I get a house...
You denoted your donated your 2 minutes to Zalendo.
Yes, that's
I've
fine.
just been
And
reading
even
from
if
the
you wanna,
yes.
even if you don't want me to proceed, I'll stop there. You
Okay,
know,
proceed.
I don't have to talk. I don't have to keep talking. But this is what I was saying. That if in any event somebody gets a house and decides to rent, that person there is a high possibility, even where he is going to rent, he will rent basing on how much he is able to afford. So we have automatically changed the life of that person. So these are the people who are trying to popularize the government agenda. They are being unfair to Kenyans because what are we supposed to do as intellectuals? It is to advise people on how they can save the little money that they get. They build a good bank relationship so that they can, by after 4 or 3 years from now, they will be in a position to get money, to get a loan, so that they can pay a down payment. Then from there, they will be paying little money as they continue to finance their loans. There is nothing good, Leo, and I can tell you because I live here in America. In America, here we get house, we get mortgage at a very high rate sometimes, but everybody fights very hard to see that they are able to pay the mortgage because at the end of the day, that house becomes your house. We want to be motivated to pay or to do that if that house at the end of the day will not belong to me. So telling me that it is better for me to stay in a social house than pay for what will at the end of the day become mine, it defeats the logic. Maybe ninajua Wakenya wangetaka walipe nyumba.
Okay,
Leo, can I make my submission very quickly?
Yes, Kenya Revolutionary, I'm giving you this opportunity to make your submissions. I also want to give you I want you to respond to these 3 issues as you give your submission. Number 1, I asked a question that this issue of slums, we are having one of the largest slums, and we're having slums in each and every country. And do you think that we are having slums because we don't have enough houses? That's the first question. But the second thing I want you to respond to, do you think that by building the houses with affordable social houses, it is going to reduce the slum population in this country? And I want you to take in consideration the issue whereby the previous government, that is, I think the government of Mwai Kibaki, tried to build some houses in Langata to try to get people out of Kibra. And the people who allocated these houses, actually, 90% were from Kibra. But if you go there today, none of them is staying there. They rented the houses and went back to Kibra. I don't know which scenario you'll use to explain that. And then lastly, I know you, Kenya Revolution, I know from the region you come from a region whereby if you build a bungalow in Nairobi and you don't build a house back home, the day you die, when we are taking you home, we'll start by building your house before we bury you. So do you think somebody from your village in Karachuonyo or your village in Wotogik will buy a house, a bed sitter in Nairobi at 1.5 million? Proceed.
Yes, thank you, Leo. Nice to see everyone, SG, Jeff, Mzalendo, and Stella. I'll be very brief and I'll be general without giving you a lot of examples.
I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with the lady who talked on the comment section, and also Stella. I think the point that we are missing here, because I think that's what Stella is trying to say, is that those people in slums, we have slums because, first of all, the underlying problem is people don't have good income. Some don't even have income. Okay, you have to have a decent living. Those people that you see that have houses or whatever, even those that Nani Jeff Mburu is telling us in America, they have income. In order for you to have a good relationship with the bank, you have to prove that you are able to pay for whatever loan you're going to take. Okay, they're not just going to give you $1.5 million house if you're making, I don't know, $2 an hour. So let's start there. So I think if I understood it right, Stella is trying to make the point. This point is, there's no point of building these houses if these slum dwellers cannot afford it. You're not actually addressing the problem. These slum dwellers, they can barely make ends meet. So how do you expect them to pay for these houses that you're building at that price that you're telling them? At lipa pole pole. Even to lipa pole pole, they can't. And number two, the point we were missing here, again, I saw Mzalendo going back and forth with Stella. No one is saying that people don't need houses, but this should be a devolved solution. Okay, the housing needs in Kakamega is not the same housing needs in Nairobi. Okay, people in Kakamega, they don't want to live in apartments. Wanataka kujijengea nyumba huko, it's different. Okay, but of course we have places like Nairobi where we have a congested city where maybe building an apartment complex might be reasonable. But even so, if you're going to build these houses, you have to make it affordable for these people. And in order for them to be affordable, even if you want them to rent it out, down payment and the monthly rent, they have to qualify it by proving that financially they can make it. So the problem is an economic problem, but it's not a housing problem. These people would like to live in a decent house, but they don't make enough for this. So the government is wrong trying to build houses every county, okay, and saying, okay, we are going to move people from the slums and make it affordable for these people. No, you are misdiagnosing the problem. The problem is these people need income, decent income. Because if they had decent income, we wouldn't be in the slums. They wouldn't be living in these slums in Kibera. So that's what I say. So I tend to agree with Stella and the lady that made the point there on the comment section. That
Thank you, Kenya Revolution.
Okay,
I think
thank
you've answered my question directly. Very well. I asked you why people are in slums. Is it because we don't have enough houses? But you've answered. The problem is people are in slums because of economic issues. So you still have 2 minutes. Okay. Do you allow Stella to ask you a question? Kenya Revolutionary. Okay,
I'm done. Somebody was
okay. He's done. Stella
I want
to ask a question.
Yes. Let me ask Kenya Revolution. Kenya Rebel, let me ask you, do you have a problem if the counties they do social housing, then they are able to remove the guys from the slum area so that they are able to afford those houses at a minimal amount? Then when someone finishes his sunset years, he goes back to Kakamega and he stays with his cows and his pigs and his whatever in a very decent. I mean, when people are on social housing, you're in an urbanized place. The thing is, what Mzalendo they are not understanding, and I'm trying to say, the houses we have not refused the government to make, but they should put it in a scheme of social housing so that you remove the person at Kibera. For that single room, he pays for 2,000, and if he feels that he's going to continue and put his daughter, his son, whatever, you see, you have solved the housing problem. But now, when you do affordable housing, the way the government was saying, 14,000 units to be done, then what happens? 14,000 units are done. Are there more houses going to be built? No, because we are not going to solve the housing crisis. So to you and me, do you have an issue with social housing?
Me, to answer you, I have a problem the way it's been implemented. You made a good point. For it to be kujenga new hizo apartment, alafu you putting prices that the very person who's on the huko kwa slums cannot afford, it's not solving the problem. And like you said, if they move that person, ule ambaye hajiwezi, like if you're calling it social housing, okay? They can pay a small amount that they can afford, they move them from those slums into those houses, and they maintain the price that we're paying huko Kibera or whatever the case is. Then okay, now you've moved them to a better housing, whatever, but they're paying Yoninio. So that makes sense. So the problem is not housing per se. You can't build up a million houses, then unaika price ambao watu cannot afford. You're not affording anything. I think I agree with Stella in principle.
Thank you, Kenya Rebel. I can see Inspire Women is saying a good thing being done at the wrong time and in a wrong method. A good year is reminding you panelists that we just celebrated Women International Day and Mother's Day the other day. So be easy on the lady, Stella. I can also see MCJSM Moas. MCJSM Moas is saying that there will never be a moderate way of improving housing unless it is done with some salt to the masses. I don't know what you mean when you say it is done with some salt to the masses. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining for the first time, this is Afrique 24 Hour. This is an open political talk that comes on your screen every day from 10 p.m. up to past midnight, depending with how hot it is. Sometimes it can even go to the next day. So here we are just trying to look at some of the things that happened politically. Like today, we saw the resignation of the Prime Minister of Haiti. And we know when you talk of Haiti, we think of our policemen. We also think of the agreement that the president signed with the Prime Minister of Haiti. And the Prime Minister resigned because he could not be able to access his own country. All the airports, all the government premises have been captured and are under the gun that our policemen are supposed to go and restore calmness and some sanity within the country. So the question you're asking, will Kenyan police still dare, or they will also, just like the Prime Minister decided to step aside, they will also say, hey, kumeumana. Another thing, we also saw some heated debate in the Senate. That is what we're discussing right now. The debate was on the affordable housing bill. It was so heated that we saw some war of words. Why not that they are honorable members of Senate, or they were so honorable, then we'll have seen kicks and some slaps running in that Senate. It was so heated. So the next thing that happens, once it is passed, then the president will have to assent to it. But any Kenyan has got a right to go to court and challenge it again as many times, as long as you feel that it doesn't satisfy the constitutional requirement or the threshold, you can go to court. So with me, I have Mzalendo, Jeff Mburu, I can see Stella Wangare, Revolutionary, and I'm also joined by one and only the SG, Kamau. Kamau, I saw most political parties are now aligning themselves and they are getting ready for the 2027 elections. Wengine wanasema nani atakuwa rais, nani atakuwa waziri wa fulani fulani, nani atakuwa deputy president. Sijaona chama chako. Sasa karibu utusalimie, utuambie hii chama ni kipi, alafu hii mambo ya affordable housing, wewe kama chama chako unaona iko sawa ama hii ni kupoteza wakati? Welcome SG.
Asante bwana moderator, nashukuru sana kwa wakati huu nimepata nafasi tukaweze kupiga ngumzo. Chama kiko gangari, mjiandae kusimama, because si lazima tuwe tunaongea tu solutions, and we do not have the ambitions of being leaders in this country. We are going to be launching our party soon. Relaunching, in other words, we are going to popularize it so that at the end of the day, people can know about it. But that is a story of another day. What really perplexes me as a human being living in Kenya is that 2 years later in this government, we are still talking about the housing levy. Either the housing levy is wrong, or we are wrong, or we are all confused as a country. Because if this thing was good, as it is supposed to be, solving problems of living, then it will not be an issue today in the Senate, in the talk of town, in our salaries. And I'll tell you why we are talking about it. And there's somebody who is still the mic is still on. If you can mute the person, because I want to be audible. I'm saying this. There is a problem with the housing levy and the housing implementation as it is now. People don't know who owns the house when. How do you get deducted and how do you buy the house? How will the hustler afford? So many, and I can continue and continue asking those questions, and nobody has answers. The president has no answers. The parliament has no answers. Who owns the land? Yeah. Will there come a time when the owner of a land, who is the government or the county government, say, particularly because I am sure God is dealing with this government, Vizuri, they might not even survive the next election, because even if anything stands against them, they will win. What I'm trying to say is, what if another government comes? Yeah, another governor comes and says, now the houses that have been built in that land belongs, you take your house. I have no problem with your house. Take your house. I want my land. Those questions have not been answered. And that is why almost 2 years down the line, there is nothing Kenya Kwanza has done right. Nothing Kenya Kwanza has done right. And that is why we are talking about housing to date. Because the levying is a problem. We do not know whether it is a levy. We do not know whether it's a tax. We do not know. There is nothing that has been answered by this regime. Go back to the issue of now NHIF. Now they are calling it SIF. See what? Over 400 hospitals have refused to be enrolled in that thing. Why? You are paying for a medical cover, and I had this being told by even one of the MPs. But you don't know what you're paying for. You don't know what is your, if you pay 1,500 or 3,000, how much will be the cost of my dental, my surgery, my maternity? There's no answers to those. So we are living in the end times, if I may say. And therefore, when you ask me why the housing issue has not gotten away of our tongues and our mouth, it is because it is stupidly done, and it is being forced in a very awkward manner. And anybody who is supporting this project is either having a problem with himself, or he has he has an issue that needs therapy or checkup, because this housing issue is a problem. Nobody understands it. People who are being deducted don't know exactly when they are going to own the house, where the money is going each and every month. And again, to make even matters worse, there is no single project of Kenya Kwanza that is completed. The houses that are completed are for the last regime. So these stories that we are hearing every day of houses, they might even be in the next 5 years be white elephants. And therefore, to get out of that issue of housing, I just want to end by saying this. The problem of housing is the Kenya Kwanza government. They do not know how to communicate. They don't know what they are doing. They don't know whether they are building flats or they are building bungalows. They don't know what they are doing. So people everywhere are just shocked. Like from our place in Kiambu and Nyandarua, I have a house in Nyandarua. People are asking me, how can you come to Nyandarua and tell us that you're building as flats? Do they even make sense? We have our cows here and our dogs. We want a place where we can run around with our kids. In fact, what the government should have done, they could have gone to the Maasais and asked them, how do we improve manyatas? How do we make them modern? You know, the way you make them, there are hotels that are made like manyatas. How do we make them modern? If we give you the Malinga machines for free, can you make beautiful houses, and then we give you electricity and water? I mean, that is what the government should be thinking about. Go to the Kikus, ask them, if we give you this machine that is of maybe Tiba, whatever, can you make a good house, and we give you electricity and water? In fact, the government should be thinking about electricity and water and the roads. Those are the things that you should do to the people, and then facilitate on the materials of building. It is as simple as that, not stories every day kutuonesha meno, kutuonesha vile unajenga manyumba, and there is nothing you are doing. Anyway, for lack of a better word, I'll say this is a failed project, and I don't think they will complete it. The issue of Haiti. Now I
Thank
finish.
you. Ngojea hapo, shikilia tu hapo. We are coming to the issue of Haiti. I know that is the next. So allow me just, nataka kupatia Jeff Mburu dakika mbili aseme kitu, then I'll go to Stella. Tunataka kuzungumzia hiyo issue ya Haiti, and of course the former US Special Envoy for Haiti really described us with some unprintable words. He called us some like unproven third world country who can't even keep Nairobi safe. So we are coming there, and of course I'll get your views. So Jeff, wacha nikupatie dakika mbili tatu. You say something. I know you are running somewhere.
Yes. Thank you so much, Leo, for the opportunity. I just wanna echo some few things, starting with the remarks of SG Kamau. How are you, SG? And it's good that I have heard that he has started a political party, or he's starting a political party, and we will still see if we can join that party and further the development of our nation. It's a good thing to take a step. And SG, you have said that instead of what the government is doing, the government is supposed to go to each region and try to improve what people are doing. Waende huko kwa Masai Manyata, waangalie venye watatengeneza hizo nyumba. Okay, those are funny kind of examples. You are just talking like this Githunguri woman, Lep, who said, serikali itengeneze nyumba za nyasi na zingine za ile miti ya kule Mombasa. I want to tell you people, the people of Kenya, it is good to understand how the government operates. One, it is good to know that each government comes and goes. Ruto will not be a president forever. Each person comes with his agenda of what he wants to implement within the time frame given to him by Kenyans. After implementing what he came to do, he will just go, and then another government, it can be even the government of SG Kamau. When you get an opportunity, you also come. Wewe ukisikia utaenda kutengeneza hizo za Manyata, unakuja unatengeneza hizo. That is how the government operates. So Ruto is there, and he came with an agenda, and he told Kenyans that this is my agenda, and this is what I will implement when I become the president. And that is exactly what he is doing. It might not be popular to all Kenyans, because it will be ignorance of the highest order for anything to think that he'll be supported by all people, or is loved by all people, or is liked by all people. There must always be people who are opposing what you are doing. And the fact that SG, people are talking about the housing bills, the housing this and that, does not mean that the agenda itself is not in the right perspective, or it is wrong. It is because those who oppose, they feel that this thing is very good, and it is likely to give the president and the Kenya Kwanza government a plus. That is why they are trying very hard to pull the whole issue down so that it does not succeed. Because if Ruto succeeds in the housing agenda, I can tell you he'll be so popular. But those who are opposing, they are not happy about it, because they know at the end of the day, if he accomplished this, I will not have anything to tell Kenyans. Kenyans would want to give him more time. So SG, if people keep on talking about something, does not mean that thing is unpopular. The other thing, there are people who think that the affordable housing project is just meant to solve the issue of the low-income earners, which is not true. The Kibera dwellers, the slum dwellers. No, this is a holistic kind of approach to solve the housing problem in Kenya, because housing problem in Kenya is so huge, is so big, that there is nothing costly in Kenya as houses. What will happen after the government will have accomplished what it is doing? Automatically, the cost of houses will come down, whether you are a slum dweller, whether you live in Muthaiga, or wherever you be, because there is what we call the law of supply and demand. There will be so many houses, and automatically houses will become cheap in Kenya, and that whether you participated in the project or not, automatically you'll be affected in a good way. The people who should be complaining are those people who have rental houses. The owners, the landlords are the ones who should be complaining, but not the common mwananchi, because this project will benefit the common mwananchi. Ruto is not here to solve all the problems of Kenya. He is here to do what he can do within his term. Then he will leave the ground. Another person will come and do what they have in mind. That is what I can say. Thank you so much. I will
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think next
one
house.
thing. Just one thing. Just one thing.
Okay.
One thing I have remembered, SG talked about is the issue of if another government comes and says that because these houses where they are being built, some places are owned by the government and such kind of things. I want to tell Kenyans that these houses are not built in any kind of vacuum. That is why we have bills being discussed both in Parliament and in the Senate to resolve any issue of how, where, whom. All those issues will be discussed and be put into law. And when the law is passed, it is passed not just for the Kenya Kwanza government. It will be there as long as Kenya will be there as a sovereign state. So the issue of that tomorrow another governor can come and say that these houses where they are not supposed to be there, take your house. No, those things will not arise. That is why we have the institutions to enact the laws. That is why we have a Senate. That's why we have the Parliament, and that is why we have the judiciary to ensure that everything is considered and put into perspective. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I'll still be on the back, but I will not be in a position to participate because I'm going to work.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to Stella, and Stella, I want you to address this as we wind up on this affordable housing. We want to look into this thing of Haiti. I know they say the government has no business doing business with its citizens. I know there are private partners or private institutions who've been investing in this business called housing. These are sector that we normally have some private individuals, actually the landlords and the real estate people. So when the government is building houses and selling it to citizens, it seems the government is also now getting into this business. I wanted to address that. What is your take on it? Does it mean that the government is now going to do business? The government is unfairly going to kick out the private sectors from this business of real estate? Because when I build houses there in Kariobangi and I make it cheap, then it is likely that that house that belongs to Kamau Njoroge, that is maybe charging higher amount of rent, will be vacant and people will have to get into the government's house. I don't know how you can treat that. And secondly, you can also wind up with this thing. We have the government policies. I know this one is now a legal matter. We are having the constitution. Those bills are passed in parliament, and we're having government policies, which depends on the person who is in power. Each president or each leader comes with their policy. Maybe, Stella, when you come, you decide that I'm going to be buying chairs to every school. When the next governor comes, they'll say, no, I don't want to buy chairs to every school. I'll be maybe buying pens. So it means the project of chairs will be left stalled. Can somebody take you to court for not finishing that project that maybe your predecessor started? So Stella, I have 5 minutes for you.
Okay, thanks, Leo. So, Leo, the first point you're talking about the implementation. So now
Yes.
here is the issue: the housing issue. The government has no business to do business with the citizen, because remember, the government is there so that the citizen are able to be comfortable and they are able to govern the laws. So this is what I'm saying. The government has no business building houses. The people who have the business of building houses, it is the counties, because where those houses are being built, it is in counties. So counties have been given their devolved function. You do housing, education, and health. That one we cannot argue about it. Leo, I'll forward you a bill which they had discussed sometime last year. Then I'll circle in to show you where the pertinent issue is. Now, number two, remember this story of housing bill, we are talking about housing, how to get money, how to get people to qualify and what. But the pertinent issue we are forgetting here, it is the land question. So how is the national government going to get land from the county, and how would the county transfer the land to the government so that the government can build houses? That one cannot happen. It is the government to give funds to the county to build those houses. And that's what I was saying. If those houses are going to be built, the person who is supposed to build those houses, it is the county who are going to identify the the private people or the Geta PPP who is going to do those houses. So the government kazi yake ni oversight. We gave you 2 billion to make 20 units in maybe in whatever in Nakuru, in Bondeni. Has they been finished? So why is the project stopped like that and that? So that the thing is, the national government can question the county. Now we are clear on there. The second thing I told you, Leo, that this issue, it is dead on arrival. And Leo, last week, but when I forwarded you the letter from the AG, disputing, saying that he was not consulted. Remember, if that bill goes through, if it is assented by the president, that thing, it is going to go for a very hostile. It is going to be very hostile, because I know that counties will start fighting, say that we don't have land, we're not going to build. The counties are going to assemble. They are going to assemble all their people in that county. They start throwing stones to the government who are going to build those houses. Remember, hata mwananchi, even our views in the public participation, they were not even aired in wakati the parliament had already came back from recess. So guys were like, the time when we were going for public participation, when it is hot air what we were talking, because our issue was not raised. That's why you were saying akina Babu Owino and Akonopio and they were like, no question mark or comma should be added. So whatever was said by the common wananchi, it has to be respected. But what happened? They both stand. Okay, the other one was what?
Okay, the other one, I think you yeah.
No, there is another one which you
The
said.
other one was
we're
having the policies, the government policies. Yeah, we're having each president or each governor having their own policies. So do we have a law that will implicate me to continue with the policies of the person I found in the office? For example, if William Ruto is not re-elected, or if William Ruto is the person who will come after him, does that person have to continue with his policies? Like this issue of affordable housing is his policy. It is not a constitutional mandate. Remember, Kibaki had something called the Vision 2030 and such kind of things.
Yes, Leo. Now I can give you an example. For example, remember when the Uhuru regime, I mean, when it was not in the government. I mean, he was elected out, whatever what you can say. Remember, there were other structures which were left. There were hospitals, there were roads, there were everything.
I think I'm losing you. I'm losing you. It's okay.
If I may say something.
And what was made?
Yes,
so
yes,
remember,
yes.
Oh,
she's back.
Sorry, I was lost. Or who is lost?
You are lost. Okay, you are the one who was lost. Okay, you are back. Finished. Then we.
So you're saying about transition. You see, now, every time when there's a government coming in or a new government, obviously there's a budget which was allocated. So it's like a balance sheet. If I gave you 20 billion and you utilized maybe 200 million, the remaining amount should remain in that account so that you can able to complete those projects. If you are continuing to fund schools with desks and whatever, it should continue. If you need to maybe top up, you ask for more funds, maybe to supply textbooks, or you want to supply exercise books, it should be continued. It's not that the governor who is going to be there can say that no, if whoever Leo was supplying chairs and desks to these schools, I cannot do. But that's a criminal offense, because there was a allocation which was left. And that's why Margaret Nyakango is trying to fight out, saying that the way how money was being allocated and it's being misquandered, and there's wanton waste of budget. So that's why you see when the governors went back, then they said, we need more money so that you can continue with the projects which were left in the past regime. Now, Margaret Nyakango said, you cannot ask for more money, but there were some monies which were left where you have not accounted for. You get. Now the thing is, the government has to continue the day, whether you're a villain, a dictator, but the government has to continue end of the day.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Leo,
I saw I'm supposed to go to Mzalendo.
No,
Yes.
I've been mentioned. You've
You've
there.
been mentioned, so you want to respond? Okay.
You
Okay.
know when you're mentioned, if you're mentioned, you should clear the air so that people they don't think that you're
Clear the air.
that you are weak, that you have run away. The issue of somebody saying there is a law being passed by Parliament, it is neither here nor there. Not unless you're living in what we call Dululu land. You know Dululu land, where there is no procedure. Let me tell you, even in the next government, if Ruto will not be there will still be another parliament, and there will still be another judiciary. And I can tell you with an example. Today, NHIF is being removed by an act of parliament. Everybody is going home. Why? Because the parliament today has decided to do away with that act of parliament and create a new one. So somebody thinking that an act of parliament supersedes the constitution is really living in denial. It is living with what we call proverbial ostrich. We know that an act of parliament can be repealed. We also know it can be overridden by the constitution. And therefore, the constitution is explicit on this issue of housing. As the lady said here, I think it's Madam Stella, that the housing issue is supposed to be done by the counties. And it's not even counties constructing. It is counting providing what we call facilitation. Yeah, which is the constitution, which I said that. So if the constitution will not be changed by the next government, then I am so sure beyond any reasonable doubt that the next governor of various counties and the next president will do away with these useless policies and these inept policies by this government, because there is nothing that is making sense that is being done by this government. I just wanted to clear the air and tell them that tell my brother there, who is a very good orator and a very good, I think he's a preacher, that the act of parliament can be repealed by the next government.
Thank you. So before I go to Mzalendo, Kenya Rebel, you wanted to say something. I hope it was a point of intervention or.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well.
Yeah, I want to second what SG said that about that, and also we should remember that the housing thing is that divorce, like he said, and number two, the previous one failed because it was discriminatory. Remember, they were saying that they were going to tax people who have a payslip, basically some payslip income. So there are certain population of the Kenyans who are going to be taxed to go towards this Nenio. And the ruling was that you can't do that, because how can a number of people pay tax towards this housing, affordable housing, while the rest are not paying for? So that's number one. I'm also curious to see how this thing will. I don't know what's in the new one that they want to pass, because, like I said, lastly, I'm so new. I've been out. I'm confused. But let me just say this: we shouldn't even blame only Kenya Kwanza in this. Well, because right now the affordable housing has passed. These second, third reading are just amendments that they're going to do in the final bill. So remember, the 149 MPs from the Azimio side are also culpable helping Ruto to pass this illegal and popular bill that was passed. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I forgot what I was about to say.
All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for keeping it here. And once again, I welcome you. And if you know you've not subscribed to Afrique 24 Hour, ensure you go to YouTube and search for Afrique 24 Hour. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell. So as we take a short break, for those people who love fish, I just want to give you some good news that you can now be able to receive your fish from wherever you are, whether you are in America, you're in Africa, you're in Asia, Australia, or any other part of the world. You can get fresh Lake Victoria tilapia delivered just at your doorstep. So don't hesitate to call for your fresh fish. So Kenya Revolutionary giving you this news so that you can also spread it to the people near you so that they know it is easy to get fish, courtesy of Noel. Oh yes, welcome back, and thank you for watching. Thank you for keeping it here, and always keep it here for some open, candid, and sane political talk. Here we are discussing matters Kenyan politics, and of course, Afrique is connecting you with African stories. And we also have some other programs. So if you are not interested in political talk, you can always check on our channel for other programs that might suit your worship needs. So keep it here at Afrique and ensure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any of our programs. So Mzalendo, before we move on to the next thing, yeah, I want to know if maybe, you know, I think I need to give you enough time. If you have something that you want to say about this affordable housing, I can give you some 3 minutes to wind it up. Then we want to move on to something else.
Thank you, Leo. The confusion is still there. You can see among the panelists, they still don't know that we have civil servants at the county level, and they need housing. And most of them also don't know that National Housing Corporation used to do this thing from a long, long time ago, and the houses were being provided at the county government. I know they will bring an argument that why can't you let National Housing do that job? Already the government is creating a body that is going to be mandated to create these houses. National Housing will continue with their mandate. So the issue of somebody telling you, you know, housing is devolved. Housing is devolved, yes, but there's some loopholes in that constitution. Housing is devolved. Do the county governments have the capacity to build housing for civil servants at the county level? The answer is no. They don't have the capacity. They depend on money given at national government. Now, when you insist that the county government build these houses, yet even the little money that they are being given right now, they are mismanaging it. Wanaikula. Do you think they can be given the mandate? The answer again is no. And now, when you have that kind of argument that, you know, in Moranga, where I come from, people don't need those houses. But go to Moranga, you'll find that there are civil servants there. They are transferred each and every time. There are policemen coming from Nairobi to other areas. So those houses are needed everywhere. And the government is doing a good thing. And above that, it will create employment. And the long-term ripple effect is that the cost of housing will come down. So is it a good thing? It is a good thing. The way it is being implemented, yes, there could be some issues here and there. Personally, the only issue I have is that they should make it voluntary. If I need a house, I can go for it. That is something that they need to do. But if you want to go back and if you want to say that the next government when it comes ati watabomoa hizo nyumba, iwezi fanyika. Hiyo ni project ya serikali, and each and every government when it comes in, kitu yoyote ile iko kwa udongo ni ya serikali, hata ikuwe ni gold, ikuwe ni nini, so long as government ikipata gold kwa shamba yako huko Stella hapo kwako, na ni wamepata gold, watakuhamisha, they will compensate you and it will become a government property. So those things are there. Hizo ndio vitu lazima tuanze kujua na tuambie watu, ukitaka hii nyumba unaenda tu kwa portal ya serikali. I think it is 200 bob to register. Register 200 shillings, uanze kutafuta vile utapata hii nyumba. Somebody cheating you that you don't need these houses, you need them, like ASAP. Buying land in Kenya today, especially in Nairobi or those urban centers, is so expensive. So expensive. I don't know why they are narrowing it that hizi nyumba ni za mama mboga. Hizi nyumba ni zetu sisi zote. We need them. We need these houses. Don't narrow the argument that mama mboga cannot afford it. Civil servants, the police, and everybody else need houses. You've seen the kind of environment that they live in. So don't play politics in it. I know politicians will play, SD will play politics in it because they don't have an issue in 2027 when they're going to ask for votes. Your political party will be asked, what have you done for the people? You'll be giving them promises. Kenya Kwanza will be telling you when they go to your county that these houses, we did them, we implemented them, and it's helping the people. And apart from housing, there is water provision, there is infrastructures that are being built there. There is architects that are going to get jobs. People are saying that those are not permanent jobs. It doesn't matter. Right now, they don't have anything they're doing. People in the Juakali sectors, those who don't have anything to do right now, they are going to get some formal employment for the time being. Yeah, so the government is structured these things so well.
Just a quick question as you finish. Just a quick question on the employment. For example, you'll find that the houses the government is building, most of them are always the same design. So how many designers or how many architects are needed to design? Will the government employ different designers to design the same design? How many people are going to be employed?
You see, for example, the county where I come from, there is a famous architect who normally designs building there. I believe he has already got a contract to design those buildings. And if there is a plan already that the government wants this particular plan to be implemented throughout, it doesn't really matter. If the architects are not going to get that job, all of them, they can't be absorbed everywhere. Just like saying doctors are graduating from medical schools, and do we have enough hospitals to absorb everybody else? No, the answer is no.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Zalendo, the government builds a house, okay, those apartment complex, whatever the case is, and then they come and tell you, hey, you need a house, you need this house, you need it. I'm living in Kibera, I can't afford, and the government is telling, no, you need it, it's good for you, it's going to help you. Just go to the bank and fanya hivyo, if you qualify, you come and get it. What's wrong with that picture?
Can you come again? You are in Kibera, the government
he's trying to saying the government is not deducting money from you. The government is just getting money from elsewhere or from private partners. Then after building the house, then they convince you to rent to own them or to buy them. Yeah.
Let me just make it easier for him. The point is, Zalendo, me as a citizen, I would like to buy a house of my design where I want, and how big it is. That's what I want. It's my choice. You don't build a house or apartment complex and tell me that, you know what, there's a housing need, you're a civil servant, you need it. Maybe I'm saving up to buy a big bungalow in Panpiel. Okay.
That's what I told. That's what I told you. I told you that it should be voluntary, and even if you are making that kind of argument, people who are maybe who are building that bungalow in Pandipiri want to own property. So it's not like you have to stay there. That is a property for your grandchildren, a property for your children, and property for the future. So if you want a property, if you don't want a property, then that should not be, the government should not force you. That's what I said.
So why
the
are you
government
taxing
should
me?
never force you.
So why are you forcing me to tax me, put up extra tax to pay for somebody who, why are you taxing me then?
Kenya Revolutionary, where you come from, Biden is already saying that he will have to tax the billionaires to help the poor by force.
My friend, that is America. Let's stay to Kenya. We have a constitution in Kenya. Let's just handle Kenya. We don't do things.
Yeah, so you have to be taxed. There are so many things that you have taxed now to me.
No, the
Na
constitution
vitu
is very
mingi
clear.
sana unalipa ushuru and yet you don't use them.
But housing is something
Kenya
to defend.
Revolutionary.
Okay, I was just making a point and try to show.
I know I'm making a point. I know this debate won't end.
Okay, let me just
one.
be short then finish. Summarize.
Okay.
All I'm saying is this, Mzalendo. The number one issue is not housing. Okay, yes, we've had different variations of houses built by Kenyatta, Nanani. But what we are saying is this. Okay, what I'm saying is this: we are misdiagnosing the problem. If we have enough people working, those people in Kibera or the average, whatever, we can afford to buy a house where we want and how big it is and the design that we want. You don't have to come as a government and tell us, we want to tax you more money so we can build your house because you need a house.
So who is stopping you from buying a house?
Nobody's stopping me. What is stopping me is the government. Listen, Stella Kidogo. You are stopping me because you're not providing an environment conducive, economic environment conducive enough for me to earn enough money, income to afford the economy is in the turmoil. So I cannot afford to buy a house because I don't have decent income.
Thank you very much.
And you're telling me to go kazi ya mjengo na madokta. You want me to go do kazi ya mjengo?
Kenya Revolutionary, asante sana. Ruto's government has only been there for barely 2 years, and you'll judge them by the end of 5 years term.
That alibi is
provided jobs for citizens so that they can afford, or the economy improved. So let us look at his report card after 5 years.
Stella Maliza.
Okay, Stella, 1 minute, then we move on.
No, I want to ask a question. Help me, and Kenya Rebel to help me. You guys, what is the problem? Landlord not accepting social housing, and remember, social housing is for unprivileged people. And this is how I was saying: we have not refused for the government to build houses. Let them build houses, but they put in a way that it's going to solve housing issues by removing the slum people to come and live in social housing. Wa mtu wa rent huko, ukifika 65 years old, enda nyumbani. Because him and Mboro, they were saying that, it does not make any sense. Sijui credit disciplinary, sijui how what. If you need to have a mortgage for affordable housing, you must get employed. And a bank cannot
Niko na swali. Social housing. Ukienda nyumbani, hii nyumba inabakia nani?
Si inapatia mtu mwingine mzalendo. Watu wanakujaga town na wengine wanaenda mashinani. Tafadhali wanaenda mashinani. Hakunaga nyumba enye itaiacho hapa Nairobi. Ukikuja hapa Nairobi kuko na a lot of vacant houses.
Can you give me an example of social housing in Nairobi?
Let me give you an example. Yes. Their houses, like whoever was saying, their houses in Kayole. People, watu wametengeneza nyumba very good, decent ones. You can pay for 2,000 shillings. Ukae hapo, kuko na maji, kuko na stima ya token, na wakati umeshazeeka unarudi nyumbani. Unataka kuniambia hiyo nyumba itakosa mtu mwingine? Now the thing is, I want to ask you, Mzalendo, why are you having the issue of social housing? That is the only way how the government can solve the housing crisis. Because you remove the person from the slum, unamu upgrade kwa nyumba ya mawe. And that is how it is happening in Brazil, a place called favela. If you can If you can Google, you know what favela is. So I don't understand you and Boro saying that people can go and get bank loans to do they are able to say. Mzalendo, we sat down with you and we calculated. Mama mboga, by the time anatakio apate iyo nini credit score yake, it will take her 7 years. Who will wait for 7 years apate nyumba? Let me get my credit score, then within 2 years I have a house. But you don't give a solution. You want to come with a solution the way you're living in America. Hapa Kenya, people barely even make 500 shillings a day. Mtu wa mjengo, mtu mwenye ameenda kwenda huko industrial area, he's paid 200.
America unapelekwa rehabilitation kwa sababu hujaenda kazi, lakini huko Kenya hiyo kazi ndio haiko.
Now the thing is, even as Kenyans, we are struggling even us to make our own houses because we don't have good roads. Stima ni shida kuvuruta kutoka kwa town. Unaambiwa ununue transformer, ununue ununue wire, ununue poles. Unaambiwa ulipe almost 200,000, which is more expensive than making the road. It does not make any sense. What I was saying, and this is my stand, and I say, and this is what we told the Kimani Kuria Committee, houses we have not refused, but let the county do their duty of doing those houses under social housing. If you people want to have a business of bringing those houses, you're doing business with Kenyans, you're robbing us. You're killing us by the day. And that's why domestic borrowing, it's becoming more expensive. Even Mama Mboga haizi pata hata loan kwa bank. Because Leo, kitambo you used to go and walk in a bank, you get a SME loan, you have a 9%. Right now, it is 22%. Who is going to afford 22% ya kulipa your interest? Mzalendo, they are not seeing it beyond their noses. Yes, they are looking.
Stella, sema ukweli bwana. Hata kudanganya wa Kenya. The loan is not paid at 22%. It is lower than the market rate. And
no. And living in Kenya.
You are lying. That is a big.
No, Muzalendo, that one I have to come in. No, I support Stella. The central bank.
Give me evidence.
The central bank.
Higher rate, and I'll give you a
mimi hapa na SG tunaumia.
Ni ukweli.
Mimi nataka unipatie evidence ya
central bank. Listen, Mzalendo.
Okay, 1% at a time.
Listen. Hii kitu iliongezwa juzi na central bank interest rate from the rate of 13 to 14. Now the banks wakiongezewa hapo wanacheza from 14 to 24. Most banks have gone to 24, the farthest. So hakuna bank inakupatia interest rate less than 24. It is a fact. And it is there. Go hata sahi uone. Sahi hata wale watu wote walikuwa wamepatiwa maloni za zamani wameandikiwa barua wakaambiwa kuna adjustment. Because the interest rates have raised up to a level where Kenyans cannot. So don't say it's a lie. It is not a lie. It is something that is happening. I can tell you for free. And this kind of advices I charge, but it is true. Hii kitu iko. In fact, sahi banki nyingi hata I&M, ukienda Equity iko 22, I&M iko 24. Si mimi najua. We also take these loans, man.
Let me help you. Order. This is what is happening. Kenya, the Central Bank of Kenya raised its benchmark rate by 50 to 13% at its meeting on February 6, 2024, following a massive hike in December. So that brings borrowing costs to their highest since October 2012. So it was raised on 6th February. They raised it to 13%. So when they raise it to 13%, then it means the other banks are also going to come up with their percentage.
Markup. It's called a markup.
Yes.
Remember the bank did that markup also to pay tax back to the taxman. So imagine if you're going to pick a ukienda kuchukua loan kwa bank sahi, SG is my witness. If you go take a banknote of 3 million, utaambiwa that is 3 million, lakini principal interest ni hii. Utakuja ujipate umeongeza another 200,000 juu yake. Then ukuje banki kuwekea markup yako. Markup yako, then unaambiwa this is the markup and this is the amount which you have to pay. Then even the banks, they have to do the markup. Even them, they try and save themselves. Walipe hata wafanyakazi and they lipa rent. Yeah? People really need to survive. So what happens to SMEs? Wamekataa kwenda kuchukua loan kwa banks. That's why you are seeing banks, wanaweka tent nje, wanajaribu force people, they try and deposit as much as possible. So what Mzalendo is trying to say, that loans are affordable in Kenya, that's a lie. That's a lie. Yeye mwenyewe akuje hapa.
I have not said loans. You are giving comparison to a bank and banks and so many banks, and we are not talking about banks. We are talking about government schemes.
Okay. Listen, Mzalendo, ubayako utakaji kusikia. Umeambiwa vizuri na SG. Venye Central Bank imepeana notices kwa bank. Now, each bank imeambiwa threshold ni hii. Then the bank, they'll have to add up their threshold and they add up their markup. So now me as an SME, nikuja niombe 3 million, alafu niambiwe markup yangu ya kulipa hiyo pesa, I have to add another 9% on top of the 18%. How much is that, Mzalendo? So you're trying to tell me Mama Mboga can afford to get a loan at the bank. Mama Mboga cannot do that. What do? Wanaenda kwa chama. Yeah? Ya nini? Ya per month, per week. Because people cannot afford to buy loans. And now the problem is even banks, they don't have enough reserves in their banks kwa sababu people are not depositing enough. Mzalendo, you have to understand this focus of the financial sector. If there is no deposit to na wananchi kwa bank, that bank itakuwa hata inafunga ama inaachisha watu kazi because no one is saving. Please try and understand that. And you know,
Thank you. Thank you. Stella, we'll just stop there.
Anyway, we'll
it was so
one day with you, Stella.
Affordable or social housing. I know one of these fine days we are going to do a comparison between affordable housing and the social houses. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we woke up with today in the morning. I just want us to listen to it. Then from that, we are also going to weigh on it because it affects our country. It affects Kenya because remember, few days ago, the President of the Republic of Kenya signed some agreement with the Prime Minister of Haiti on deployment of 1,000 police officers, something that was overturned by the court who said that it is illegal. And for Kenya to be able to deploy, they need to have what is called a reciprocity agreement, whereby the other government should also agree to reciprocate the same. But as it stands right now, there was no way Haiti was going to reciprocate the same. So after that, the gang leaders gave the Prime Minister some ultimatums not to fly back to the country, and they've captured almost everywhere. So the Prime Minister aliamua kujiuzulu. So let us listen to what happened.
Resign as the violence in his country just gets worse. Officials of CARICOM, a regional bloc, say Ariel Henry submitted his resignation Monday night. This comes after regional leaders met earlier on Monday in Jamaica to discuss a framework for a peaceful political transition. The country has been plunged in a crisis after powerful gangs carried out highly coordinated attacks right across the capital, Port-au-Prince, since last month. Now, meantime, America's top diplomat says the U.S. will contribute $300 million for a Kenya-led multinational security mission to Haiti. Antony Blinken's announcement came after a high-level emergency meeting. You see them there in Jamaica, all of them discussing Haiti's political crisis.
I think today's meeting on Haiti, so critical, bringing CARICOM together, is testament to Jamaica's leadership in the hemisphere that we share, leadership at a critical moment for Haiti, but also a critical moment for all of us.
For more, we're joined by Jacqueline Charles. She is a Caribbean.
You've heard that, and maybe before I even pose a question, there was this comment by the former U.S. Special Envoy for Haiti who said that Kenya is an unproven third world country who can't even keep Nairobi safe. I just want you to listen to it. Then you will also tell me what you make on that. How he described Kenya, and he really laughed at Kenyans when they want to go and bring peace in Haiti. So I'll just play that one for you. Just a minute.
Or it will fail again.
Ambassador, you talk about peacekeepers. The UN Security Council mandated a force to be deployed back in October. We've seen delays. Kenyan troops getting on the ground. I understand, though some other countries have pledged troops too. Would the US ever put boots on the ground?
If the US or England or Germany or France or Britain or the EU do not lead such a mission, it'll fail. You can't ask the Kenyans to do it. They can't keep Nairobi safe, for crying out loud. Bangladesh, Chad, Barbados, wonderful. It's a great money-making opportunity for the countries. But to be successful, any intervention needs to be led by a country who is good at.
I'll stop it there. I will stop it there. Let me start from my top left. Kenya Revolutionary.
Yes. What is your question?
What is your take on that? Do you think Kenya is still going to deploy? The Prime Minister have already resigned. You've had the former envoy saying that if saying he is really disputing and saying that Kenya cannot manage that. If it is not going to be led by those major powerhouses, then Kenya, a country that he says is unproven, third world country that cannot even keep Nairobi safe. And of course, those in Nairobi will confirm that there are security challenges in Nairobi. So he's really saying Kenya cannot manage.
Even Sakaja is asking for more police officers. Anyway, I say this, and the judge had ruled on this matter. Again, they're just reiterating it. We have to have a reciprocal agreement with the country, Haiti, whatever you want to call it. And they sign it with